Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the TGR podcast, The Great Reveal, where here we reveal all. My name is Don Sullivan. This is Damien. This is Steve.
Steve.
Hello.
Welcome.
So I think hopefully if you guys have joined us before, if not, welcome. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of crazy stuff. We're going to go on some deep dives. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about our Hollywood horror situation that we did last episode, but we're going to go deeper into the mind control of Hollywood, censorship, digital bookburning, the definition of the memory hole. But first, we're going to talk about some news. There's a little bit going on, guys. Have you been watching the Weather Channel?
Yes.
Yep. It's been very interesting.
So we're hearing about this October surprise, and I'm still waiting on it. But at the same point, we're getting a giant hurricane going down in the south, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida. Looks like we have another really big one, possibly a Category 5 about to hit. Could that have some kind of impact on the election is the question.
Maybe.
Yeah. We had planned to talk about propaganda and like mind control stuff coming off the Diddy parties. And I kind of, we'll have to touch back on the Diddy parties at some point, but I think we got to talk about this hurricane. So we're going to go into that. So first though, past week, the debate, the Vance Walz debate, wild split screens, very meme worthy, right?
Very meme worthy.
There was some good takes, so we'll quickly go over that. Watch our other episode, though. I think we pulled some pretty good stuff. I think at this point, though, people pretty much know what's going on, which is why cue the hurricanes, maybe.
Maybe. I would like to start by talking a little bit about last week's debate. There was some very shocking revelations during that debate. I think the biggest one
Hold on.
Was what Tim Walz had to say. And that right there is coming up right now. No.
Hold on a second.
Hold on to what?
Hold on. What else happened this week?
Well, I mean, it depends. It's been a very busy week.
Yeah.
What are we
Elon
talking
Musk
Butler
hopscotching into the Butler rally, back to the scene of the crime.
Dark
Yes.
Throws
Friday.
kind of a rock opera concert with the guy who sings his American song and then an opera singer.
That
at the
was
end.
quite interesting. We'll definitely get into that.
Yeah. When did you guys catch the song he was playing at the end?
I did.
So Sum of All Fears, we'll talk about
Yes.
that. Elon Musk was there saying literally this is the most important election in our lifetime, which you
Yes.
always hear, but it kind of always seems that way, right?
It's a constant escalation.
Yeah, dark MAGA.
Does not seem to be toning down at any point in the future.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Trump, it's weird. Like you literally have him hopscotching out there. It's like he's put together the Avengers. He's literally got, RFK, and he's got Elon Musk now, like literally
Tulsi.
like jumping around. You got Tulsi, who was where was she this weekend? She was up in North Carolina, trying to do.
We'll be looking into that as well.
Speaking of Elon Musk, trying to send Starlink terminals, and apparently FEMA's really screwed that up because, as we have heard, they might have spent all their money on migrant programs. So I think we'll talk a little bit about that today. And, just remember, we just spent another $2.5 billion to Ukraine. Sorry, everyone. Those Eastern Europeans, they're higher up on the DEI ladder for you. So, all right. First thing, I guess we'll go ahead and play some of that debate. Sweet goodness.
Yeah, so it looks like Tim Walz has made some friends over the years, and here he is to tell us all about it.
Governor, you previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety. I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And several things I want to mention on this is talking about cities and where it's at. The number one where the most firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves. And so we have, and we should look at all of the issues. Making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful. This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns, and there are things that you can do about it. But I do think that this is one, and I think this is a healthy conversation. I think there's a capacity to find solutions on this that work, protect Second Amendment, protect our children. That's our priority.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, so you heard it there. Walz has made friends with school shooters over the years. It's kind of been memed over and over. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
I mean, I've honestly seen it so
Um,
many times now. It's like, yeah, it's a meme, and that's probably one of the worst debate flubs ever. I mean, just
Damien?
The icing on the cake for that, was Vance's face, because he had like one of those. So that screen cap of them two together.
Yeah, I saw
Oh
that.
my
He
God, it was absolutely hilarious because Walz, and I'll say this, he generally came off as slightly more likable in that debate, and they agreed on a lot. So you can see why both parties had chosen them as their VPs. Fairly moderate, but yeah, that whole school shooter thing, and he was confronted about it too by journalists at a pizza place later. And
completely
he
ignored him.
would, yeah, and whereas you could say like, oh, I misspoke, I meant like families of school shooters, but no, he didn't even want to clarify. So that makes me think, like, did you really mean to say that, bro? That's a weird flex.
Honestly, I kind of feel like it was just a slip of the tongue. He probably meant, and again, I don't.
oh,
like
it
really
definitely
giving-
was, but it's still fun to make fun
Yeah,
of it.
Infer.
it was
I
funny.
mean, really, it's just funny because you're not supposed to say that, and it's like it's a big night, and it was just. I mean, everyone's kind of seen it now, but it was just
Nobody
a
had
rollover.
high hopes for him,
JD Vance,
period.
10 out of 10, just completely steamrolled him,
Well, again,
and that's
look-
why we're talking about hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like
Well,
the next day, it was all about hurricanes.
Hurricanes. Look at it this way: had it been our side that did it, they'd be doing the same thing. They'd be memeing it constantly,
Another
constantly,
thing too, I
constantly.
want to mention is he said the NRA used to do gun safety, and I'm like, okay, I got my NRA gun certification not too long. Like, they still do it, bro. What are you talking about?
Oh, looks like we got a comment here from Brian P. Hello, fellow Patriots. Hello, Brian. Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in today. It's a pleasure to have you.
This is what we do. We're just talking about the
Yeah.
thing. So that okay,
of your
we kind
brand.
of said it. We kind of did what it is. So really, I mean, what's most important, I think, is just the momentum keeps going. That momentum really was just like, yep, it was a knockout. You kind of expected it, but still, Waltz is goofy. There's really nothing for them to sit on and be like, that Waltz guy is awesome. So we went from that to Elon waltzing in on the Butler parade.
It was pretty cool that Elon was there. There a lot of people came out to support Trump, and they say that they love him, and they really went on and on about it. One of the local news organizations over there was actually on the ground interviewing some people that were kind of explaining why they're there and why they want Trump back in office, and this is what they had to say.
The bottom line is, he got things done.
We all see what's going on, and
We all love this man.
He's not like my favorite, which is history. That's just how it is. But
as I was saying,
And the bottom line is, he got things done. This country was run by Democrats for 16 out of the past 20 years, and we've had nothing but crises. For 4 years, when Donald Trump was in office, everything was smooth. There was no chaos. Everybody had more money in their pensions, and it was just a safer, and it was peaceful.
character-wise, he's not like my favorite, which is history. That's just how it is. But I do know under Trump, we had a way better economy. We traveled overseas a lot. The U.S. dollar was great. I felt we were safer. My husband's active duty military, and we were in these conflicts with like Ukraine and Israel. And I feel like he provides the leadership that we need at this time.
honestly, who's going to put their life on the line as a billionaire that he is to help the American public? Okay, we all see what's going on, and we have North Carolina right now can't get food and supplies, and yet we're giving money to other countries today. There's something wrong with that.
We all love this man, and it's time for us to fight for our freedoms, fight for our country, and just really come together and finally unite. So I'm here for the show, obviously, but I'm also here to just spread the love.
Tell me about your costume.
Well, this is the second time I actually have become George Washington. First time was at a company party, and now I just decided to wear it here at Trump's rally, and I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to spread the joy and get plenty of photos taken.
So yeah, there we have it. Everybody down at the rally. One of the biggest things that really stuck out to me was the lady that said no wars while we were under Trump.
Yeah, she actually reminded me of what was her name? Nancy Grace, I believe. She's a state rep. Looked very similar. But yeah, and with the fellow, welcome back.
Hey, welcome back.
The fellow
No idea.
in the George Washington, the fellow in the George Washington costume, I'd just say a little easier on the makeup.
He
Other
he
than
melted
that,
quite a bit.
Fantastic crowd.
I'm frankly
Yeah,
offended.
Fantastic crowd though. Oh, with the
The
white
white
face.
face.
Oh,
Oh,
Frankly.
white
It's
face.
You know what? You know what? It's okay. Asians are honorary whites now, apparently.
It's okay. I mean, and now I'm just gonna say, I understand why it is a bad thing. I understand the history of it. I'm just making a joke.
Yes.
I think anybody tuning into us would get that. But if
I-
not,
you know,
then
Before
joke's
y'all
on you.
start,
His choice of makeup was awful, but I will definitely applaud the effort and effort there is. Listen, the
Also-
biggest effort that I've seen this week is the fact that Elon Musk showed up to vouch for Trump. Don, what do you think about that? Did you expect him to actually come out? There's been rumors all year that he's going to come out and do a speech for Trump. And
we
then here-
definitely he was saying it on Twitter, like he was basically setting that expectation. You saw him show up kind of in the pre-show there. He showed up, you know, some accolades. I did not expect him to go hop skippity jump, which was hilarious. And the thing is, people make fun of Musk, but he knows what he's doing, right? It's like the infamous bringing the sink into Twitter, like, you know, let that sink in. Like, he knows how
Yep.
to meme, and like, you know,
Yeah.
people are like, oh, well, he's a crazy person jumping and skipping, and it's like, no, he's literally trying to get as much attention as possible. And the only thing he said was, go effing vote. You need to get registered. You need to vote. That's literally just all he said, just like annoyingly.
well, yes, but
And it's very important. That's what I mean.
He
Yeah,
had
he's doing
a
this.
lot to say.
Yes, he's right. I mean, this is the free speech. I think this is it. This is the election for free speech. I mean, it's happened all over across the world after COVID, especially everywhere else in the world. There's hate speech laws. People get arrested all the time in Britain for things they've said on the internet. You know, one day maybe this video will be used just because we're a couple of knuckleheads, just like,
At our tribunal.
yeah.
At our tribunal, possibly.
But we're just
I
so what
definitely-
you know. We're just trying to kind of speak truth to power a little bit and see what's going on, right?
Yeah,
That's what
Damien,
Elon
what do
is
you
helping out.
what do you
I
think
definitely like
about that?
I definitely like this turn of events with Elon Musk. When he bought Twitter, and the funny thing is, that whole Twitter thing started because a channel that he liked had gotten, you know, nuked for hate speech. You know, Libs of TikTok or Cat Turd or one of those. But so he kind of went on a crusade since then, and he's been kind of forced into this. And so since he got Twitter, he managed, and you remember, he tried to back away from the deal after he had gotten the manila folders or whatever,
Mhm.
because he was able to see like, whoa, there's way more going on here than I even want to deal with. So I think he saw like how the sausage was made, and he tried to back out, but now he's full steam ahead because you can't back out at this point. So I laugh when I see certain comments, and one, Steve, that you had showed me earlier on a previous video about Elon Musk is empty-headed or he's dumb or this or that. It's like,
Right.
he's one of the smartest and most objectively successful people that's ever existed. You don't get that way by being dumb, period. He owns
No,
multiple
100%.
companies. He's been able to pick up a lot of the slack that NASA has not been able to, with literally endless resources on you know, space expeditions. So you notice the shirt he was wearing, Occupy Mars, with a great touch too, the Dark MAGA hat. I think those two together were fantastic. So I'm really happy about the massive crowd in Butler. The fact that people said, you know, there was a threat here, something terrible happened, and people had died. But you know what? No brakes on this train. We're going full steam ahead. Like, no fear.
No
Scared
fear.
money don't make
Mhm.
money. And that's one
Yeah,
thing
definitely.
what Donald Trump represents more than other people is, I will go back to, you know, where they did this, and I'm going to say, screw you to those who want to bring me harm, because I stand for something bigger. And you saw the people with the interviews in the crowd. That woman even said, I don't like Donald Trump. I wasn't with him before.
Right,
like, what
but
he's
this is
doing
the right thing to do.
objectively, yes. Elon Musk
Mhm.
saw that too.
Elon Musk actually called this the most important election ever. I got a little clip here for those who haven't seen it from last night. of his speech. Here it is.
And I think this election, I think it's the most important election of our lifetime. This is no ordinary election. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away your right to bear arms. They want to take away your right to vote effectively. You got 14 states now that don't require voter ID. California, where I used to live, is just passed a law banning voter ID for voting. I still can't believe that's real. So how are you supposed to have a good, proper election if there's no ID? It's just meaningless. And free speech is the bedrock of democracy.
That's strong right there. Free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And that doesn't necessarily just mean speech you like. That's for the stuff you don't like. The stuff I don't want to hear.
Law to protect it.
100%.
You don't need
100%
the
stuff you don't like
to protect speech that's acceptable. Period.
Right. It's especially for stuff that you like to hear. I mean, that's the most especially. And sometimes you need to just say it just to know that you can say it. You know, that's kind of the idea of the sacred clown, right? And the comedian, you know, you need to be able to have a space to be able to say those things that we all know we don't want to say, but that's why you have movies like Tropic Thunder, right?
Yeah.
You know, movies like
The Emperor's New Clothes. That reminds me of a lot. Everybody's too scared to say he's naked.
And the thing too is, you know, having free speech and being able to say things you don't want to say, that allows multiple political views to sprout in the country. And for people, again, we've moved away from this, and we should move closer back to this, but people have forgotten how to reach across the aisle and try to meet in the middle and have a conversation. Having a conversation is really important. You know, we haven't been doing this for very long, but so far, the only thing I've seen from the other side is people heckling and calling us names. And, you know, honestly,
most of it's justified.
Most of it's justified. But last week we had a lady, you know, and she was really rude. We said, hey, come on the show. Let's chat it out.
She was a Chinese troll farm, I'm telling you.
Well, whatever she was, I would
called her out for being a bot.
Well, was she a professional or an amateur? Because that's what I want to know, and that's something that we got. You know, that's a whole other podcast.
Good at it, that's for sure.
No, not very good. But that's
you know the thing is what's interesting about the hate speech thing is they almost set it up by creating the terms to like call the other person, and then they say, you know, it's interesting too, like the hate speech that comes from the left, like Trump's Hitler and this and that, and you're all bad people. Like there's a great quote that conservatives think that people on the left are good people with bad ideas, and people on the left feel like the people on the right, conservatives, are bad people with bad ideas. And that's the difference. They think they're actual bad people, and when you think that person is an existential threat, you will do whatever you can to stop that threat. And, you know, by calling it hate speech, people don't understand the slippery slope that is. Like, how do you define hate speech? Have you ever been to any type of law, anything? Like, when you have something that's not clear like that, it's bad. It's bad, bad, bad.
It gets defined by those who are in charge. That's the thing. Whoever's got most of the power. And we've seen how that works out historically. And, you know, hundreds of thousands of people to millions of people die. It's a slippery slope when only one small group gets to control the narrative of how society operates, which it goes to my original, you know, thing. We need to be talking across the aisle. We need to be communicating. Do you guys watch any Bill Maher?
I do enjoy Bill Maher.
Not religiously, ironically, but I catch a lot
as
of
a person.
Stuff. Yes.
I appreciate a lot about him. Again, I'm not a Democrat, but he's very traditional liberal.
He's
which
almost
kind of
there.
He's almost there. He doesn't.
So close.
Honestly, he might be there, but he knows his position is much more powerful staying where he is as the narrative. So he kind of leads them in because he has credibility. He has credibility in that space. He might not actually have Trump derangement syndrome. He might actually be part of that intellectual dark web, right? Of people that really know what's going on, but he has the ability to influence. He doesn't have to show his cards. He's
So
basically
kind-
like, I'm just going to pretend that I'm this. And that's why when he even said on there, he's like, look, abortion's killing babies. I don't care, but I'm just saying it is what it is. And he got that was an interesting episode when he like said that. He's like, what? That's what it is. Like, it's
So
killing
what
babies. Like, you can be okay with it, but just say for what it is.
What you're saying is essentially like, let's say Trump back in 2016 ran as a Democrat. They would have loved him.
Right.
Because they already did.
Right.
They already loved him.
If you
Was
don't
Bill
have
Clinton
power
Democrat?
right. Well, there's something as a real liberal. Like, we understand, well, we didn't like the neoconservatives. It's not like we're all Republican, voting Republican now. We're like, we were yay Bush, yay, yay Mitt Romney, yay John McCain. It's like, no, like most of us are liberals in the realest sense. We want to conserve what's good to conserve, and let people live. We want to conserve the certain systems so that we can have a liberal society.
We didn't change. The definitions changed. And we're going to go into that in the second hour. Damien, what's your thoughts on that before I get to this next video here?
Yeah, so definitely what Don was saying is the Overton window has definitely shifted because people that are like where all three of us are, well, four of us, including Tyler, we're pretty moderate fellas, right? And so we're...
My ideas have never changed. I've been the same for 20 years.
So the Overton window of left and right have all shifted more towards the left. So we, are more towards, moderates or whatnot. And a lot of the left has just gone way more left. And that's where, a lot of these people, Donald Trump and Elon Musk including, have found themselves. And JFK, or RFK Jr., excuse me, and Tulsi Gabbard were saying, like, the Democratic Party that I believed in before is just no longer there. And I find myself, Chris Webby, in some of his songs, he's done a lot about this, where he's talked about, I'm a liberal, but I have more in common with Trump supporters than the Democrats now. And it's pushing a lot of people. So everything is going. Everything's moving. So
I actually wanted to pull up a couple of our comments here. So we got John Santos. He says, free speech is like anything else. It goes through cycles, just like ideologies in peacetime. And I think you had a follow up to that as well. An informed minority will always control an uninformed majority, hence the 1%.
Can I respond to that? Can I respond to that, John?
Any comments? The hell?
So John, you got to understand that that's the whole point of the American system, because exactly right. The informed minority will always control the uninformed majority, and the informed minority typically also has power and money, and that's always how it's been for all of human time, period. It's always been that way. The American system protects the minority, because as someone, I want to say it was Ben Franklin, but it might have been Jefferson, one of those real nice wise guys, said that democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner, and that's what true democracy is. So
and
we have
informed voter is the sheep contesting it.
Right. But that's why we don't have a democracy. We have a republic.
Right. You don't want the majority, the mob. The mob, the church, and the state, those are three things you need to control. And the mob is one of them, because you can't have this freak out. People freak out over something, and then they all do something bad. You have to have checks and balances. The American system is the greatest system ever yet devised to protect the minority from the majority. That was the point of filibusters. That was the point of divided Congress. Right. That it's not perfect, but it literally is the best system ever yet devised. Will we devise a better one? I hope so. But I think that's it is what it is. We're working. I mean, even when the Constitution was written, they still had slavery written into it, and that wasn't okay. And the founding fathers acknowledged it wasn't okay, but we had to move to that. That's what the Emancipation Proclamation. When Abraham Lincoln talked about that, we were realizing a more we're basically trying to find a more perfect union, and we're still trying to do it. And we've been co-opted and civil war. There's been a lot of things have happened, which will be for other episodes. So. There you go.
John has responded to you.
Before we switch
go
over,
on.
Okay, so I have one. There's one quote that really stuck with me about that whole thing between democracy and the constitutional republic. Is okay, as we all know, democracy is mob rule, but our republic is basically rule of law. So as you said before, minority protections and everything and this and that, so that everybody gets say. You don't have that in actual democracy. So when these people are saying he's ruining our democracy, listen to them, because they mean it, because that's literally what they want. They want their mob rule, and we don't have
our democracy. Our democracy does not include the rest of us. It's including their little club, like George Carlin talked about.
They're saying, and they use the same club to beat you over the head with.
They're saying democracy with a capital D as the name for the program, basically. Like, we're screwing up their program. And that's coming from Kamala Harris, who received 0 primary votes.
Don, I did just want to bring this up. That John did respond to you after your response to him. He's indicated that he likes your analogy. So thank you, John, and thank
Good
you
conversation
for being
starter, because I think that's important. I think you're right, because you think about it all the time, and it makes you cynical. Honestly, that's the thing. There's a point where you reach total cynicism and all this, and you're like, fuck, screw it, we're all screwed, it's all over. But it's actually not true, because again, if the if they were already winning and the game was over, the propaganda would not be necessary. Right? That's the quote.
And they spend a lot of money on it, like advertising. If
they're
advertising didn't work,
they're losing the information war. And for every little conversation that we just had, that's dangerous. But it's a good thing. It's conscious evolution. That's what we're here for.
Well,
that's the great
moving back
advertisements didn't work, they wouldn't spend trillions of dollars a year on it. Just saying.
Moving back a little bit to Elon Musk and Bill Maher. You know, I'm sure you guys have heard ever since he's kind of brought out his support, Elon, on the president. He's starting to get accused of being racist, white supremacist, very right wing. Well, he was actually recently on Bill Maher's show, and they ended up talking about it. He's not far right. This is what he had to say about it.
So I think a lot of people thought when you bought Twitter that this is kind of an outlier. Like, how does this? What doesn't fit with these other things you're doing? I never thought that. Because I think you're dealing with big civilizational issues and problems, and I was right on your page. I think Twitter is one of them. I mean, you have talked about this woke mind virus.
Yes.
In really apocalyptic terms.
Yes.
You should explain why you don't think it's hyperbole to say things like it's pushing civilization towards suicide. First of all, what is the woke mind virus? And if we don't deal with this, nothing else can get done. Tell me why you think that.
Yeah, so I think we need to be very cautious about anything that is anti-meritocratic and anything that is that results in the suppression of free speech. So, you know, those are two of the aspects of the woke mind virus that I think are very dangerous. Is that it's often anti-meritocratic. You can't question things. Even the questioning is bad. So, you know, another way to almost synonymous would be cancel culture. And obviously people have tried to cancel you many times.
Many times.
Yeah, I mean,
every week.
Yeah.
From left and right. I've had it from both sides.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. People, you and I are both like in that little group of people, maybe it's a bigger group now, who are called conservative, who haven't really changed. I don't think of you as a conservative.
I'm definitely, yeah, like I at least think of myself as a moderate, you know, so, I mean, at least I've spent a massive amount of my life energy building sustainable energy, you know, electric vehicles and batteries and solar and stuff to help save the environment. That's not a, you know. No. It's not exactly far right. No, you know?
So yes, you heard it there. Not exactly far right. And Bill says, I've never seen you as being right wing. Damien?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I was talking about before, about everything getting moved over. And common sense seems to be where we are right now, you know? We're moving towards prosperity, things that are, you know, good for our country and our people. Some people, you know, politicians, they're trying to move away from it and support everybody else but us. So the people
they want our democracy.
Yeah, our mob rule. That's also one of the reasons why
people really don't
unfettered immigration or whatever, but still not give them the full citizenship status, because they want basically a perpetual serf class of, you know, underlings.
But, you know, what's really interesting, there's just a couple things there. It's like, one, you just mentioned that all the migrants coming in. I want to talk about that app. We're gonna have to talk about that at some point, that JD Vance brought up during the debate about the migrant app, because what is that all going to turn into? Because again, we have to think about AI and what Musk is actually building. Again, Tesla is not a car company, just like McDonald's is not a hamburger company. It's a real estate company. Tesla is an AI company. It's a tech company. And between Tesla and Twitter, now X, he has the craziest data set to train an AI that you can't have a social media plus a car mapping sensor. It's going to be a robot company. Plus he has all the, you know, the sky, like SpaceX, like all this is about an AI.
Oh yeah, it's going to be all interconnected. I mean, but the thing is, though, is I would definitely rather have somebody kind of like Elon at the head of this, because we're moving away from governments being relevant. Our future is unfortunately going to be, you know, again, this is long term, but it's going to be corporatocracy. We're already there for the most part. You have it where the corporations, they come in, they write the law, they bring it to the lawmakers, they bring it in a wheelbarrow with about 5,000 other pages, and then they just sign without even taking a look at it. It's
that's what Musk
crazy.
said. That's what Musk said about OpenAI. He's like, look, AI is inevitable. We just need to make sure that it's decentralized, because if these companies have the AI and you don't, you're all screwed. If anyone watched Westworld, Westworld was amazing. Season 3, right? When they get into season 3 and the whole thing with Rehoboam. Am I sounding okay?
Something you just cut out for 1 second there. You're good.
Oh, weird. Said you muted me. I see. Okay.
No, I was trying to see which one of the mics is doing that noise in the background. There we got.
I think I turned on a little fan here. Is that why?
The little that little fan. I thought we might have. I thought the CIA was coming after us, like just kind of.
No, it's my only fan.
It's your only fan. Well, we just lost 2 fans thanks to it. That's okay. All right, let's see here. It looks like Brian P had something else to say here. I get why people like Elon, but has a lot of the beast system tech. Also remember the WEF said they needed to gain our trust back after COVID. Elon could be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Very valid. Very valid.
Of course. Dark MAGA, literally. Yeah.
Is that what he meant? You know, that's a whole nother episode. Let's put that on the back burner for the time being.
It's hard to say, because remember, he's very good friends with Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is behind JD Vance. Peter Thiel has some connection. We got Vivek Ramaswamy, and Peter Thiel controls Palantir, which is the greatest collection of data processing. Basically, all the Department of Defense contractors go to Palantir for because basically they take all the things you do on all the apps. Every app you do, from going to McDonald's rewards programs to, you know, Tinder, like that shit. It's all put into a box. And then an AI is now, because that's why they were data centering it for so long, right? They were just holding it, because like eventually an AI, that's why all these companies, these tech companies, are all not profitable yet, because eventually they're just going to be bought out by an AI company that can actually use all that data and basically build a profile on you. And then you have a credit score, but it's a social credit score, and it goes on everything. I mean, already now they do it credit with
we already have
house. Right, but it's going to be a lot more sophisticated. So what Musk is trying to say is, the people need access to an AI that's not going to be closed off and used against them. Because even, you know, when we're working with like ChatGPT and all this kind of stuff, it's like
Brian just jumped in. He just said you're 100% right about Thiel.
So the thing is, though, but on the other end, it could be the new revolution, right? These people, I don't necessarily have seen anything that makes me think they're on the. I mean, I don't know. Trump, Musk is making babies with all these people, with like, you know, Grimes and Amber Heard and all that, but I don't think he's ever been caught up with a Diddy party or a you know, he likes to go to raves and do Molly or something, do ketamine, you know, those kind of people. They're not really like, you know, he's not doing the Diddy Epstein thing. Now Peter Thiel, same thing. Like, you don't see that kind of crew hanging, and they're hanging with Trump. And Trump, again, you can say the same thing about Trump. Is he the plant?
I gotta say something. A breakaway civilization.
Right. If the Nazis took over Antarctica and we have a breakaway civilization that took us through the Cold War, this is kind of like the counter to that.
The Avengers. It's the counter.
Yes, exactly. So Silicon Valley and
one more thing here. Anyway, Brian's got one. So
rabbit hole.
Yes, we'll do a rabbit hole later.
Yes, he's right. He wants X to be the everything app, which everything from driving, exactly. So, and also that's where his profit. He's like, I don't care. I'm lost money on Twitter. Twitter's not the business.
But like you said,
data.
But like you said, everything becoming the everything app. That's how you have the social credit score set up. You just have everything brought in little by little, and then at that point, you know, people just kind of want it. They beg for it. You gotta get people to beg for it.
Elon had said that he wanted to model X after that Chinese app, which name escapes me right now, which is basically all of those things encompassed into one. It's finances, it's video streaming, it's
It's like
social
WeChat or
media.
Weibo or something like that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, one of those things. But
Yep,
yeah, so
and that's
he said
going to
that
happen.
That's his model.
And think about it.
Yeah, so the
Centralized.
whole
It's
thing
like
about-
Homeland Security for your data.
Yes, and the whole thing about Elon wanting to do like Neuralink and this and that, he does have a point when saying it's coming, it's on the horizon.
It's
And we've
coming
known about this-
regardless.
Yes,
Right.
We've known
That's
about
the
this for
thing.
so long. So any of you
But
guys
that-
who watch stuff like let's say Ghosts in the Shell, they were talking about this 30 years ago about being able to have stuff implanted or
Just like watch those books, and that the writer of Dune was in the 70s, right? And
Philip
that's
K.
coming
Dick.
from and Philip K. Dick, and those guys got it from Isaac Asimov. I mean, they were thinking about things again. World War II, the things that the American government, the German government, people were doing was science fiction, was legit. Just crazy, and that's a whole rabbit hole. Okay, we're doing a little too much of a rabbit hole.
Yes,
Let's get back to it.
let me get back to. So we do have some news articles that we'd like to get over. We are going to get pretty deep within the next half hour or so, but as of now, I want to start kind of going back to U.S. Events. And earlier, Don said, "Have you guys been watching the Weather Channel?" Most of us know what's going on. It's been crazy. That storm that hit the southeast of America has been absolutely insane. And FEMA has been nowhere to be found. And this is J.D. Vance giving them a piece of his mind.
Georgia. Next question.
Thank you for doing this, Senator. My question for you is, what do you have to say about President Trump pushing the claim that FEMA is running out of money for her hurricane relief because of funding for programs that support migrants?
Well, let me say a couple things about this. First of all, the idea that FEMA is running out of money is something that the leadership of the Harris administration has said. That especially if there's another disaster, they've said that they might have to go back to the well. And I think a lot of Americans are saying, well, how can we afford to give billions of dollars to illegal immigrants in this country, but we've got to go back to the well to provide disaster relief for our own citizens? That's a disgrace. Now, the media's obsessed with, well, there's one bucket of money over here and there's another bucket of money over here. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that our own government is sending billions of dollars to illegal aliens when there are hardworking Americans. We got to focus on them. Focus on our American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by these terrible storms. That's what Kamala Harris ought to be doing, and it's a damn shame that she's not doing her job.
Focus on Americans. That's what we should be doing. And that's what their whole campaign is. America first. What do you guys think?
I think politically too, it's just so cynical and okay, we have enough. We're Homeland Security. The government wants us to basically create apps and create this migrant immigration program and put them to all the way they need to be voting and get them registered to vote. Because this whole thing about the ID, when you go to get your ID in most of these states, you can also check a box that says register to vote. And you don't need to show your even proof of citizenship to any of it. And then you're on the rolls and that's it. So
California is automatically registering people when they get a
they're
license.
not sending. You notice they're not sending migrants to California. They're coming over in that area, but they're going to all these other little states and all these little areas where they're going to try to flip counties and it we'll say it's backfiring a little bit
isn't it crazy? Isn't it absolutely crazy? It's very 1984, very Orwellian that the organization or the part of the government that's called Homeland Security is now mainly tasked with getting people here and passing them in illegally and making sure that they're paid to do so.
Department of Justice,
Department of Justice, right? Yeah, exactly. It's 100% that. And the thing too is Homeland Security. They've come out and
can I say one more thing?
Oh
before
we
go to the next part, just one more thing about that.
We could definitely go to that. Just
the politics though are just interesting. They know they need that money, and they're like, you know what? If it's a disaster, the public's just gonna have to pay. If they want help, they'll have to pay. They'll always pay. I just think like that's really just the worst part. They know they can waste the funds on anything, and then we're just gonna pony up. So
well,
you're
they
about
can't
to play the next clip.
I was actually about to just bring up a point, and then see if you would want to react to it. But you got excited there, which is awesome. But Homeland Security is warning that funds are dry. Here we go. Let's see what the president had to say about that.
But this comes as the Department of Homeland Security claims FEMA is running out of disaster relief funds. Now, critics are calling out the Biden-Harris administration for having used FEMA money to resettle migrants. The agency spent around $690 million this year to, they say, enable non-federal entities to offset allowable costs incurred for services associated with non-citizen migrant arrivals in their communities. Now, we found that statement on FEMA's website. And FEMA says the grant money for migrant resettlement is a completely separate program approved and also funded by Congress.
Kamala spent all her FEMA money, billions of dollars, on housing for illegal migrants, many of whom should not be in our country. Now we have a horrific disaster in North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia. And the Harris-Biden administration says they don't have any money because they spent it all on illegal migrants.
Well, on Wednesday, Vice President Harris visited Augusta, Georgia, to announce storm victims could apply for $750, which could take FEMA around 10 days just to drop that money into their bank accounts.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
$750.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, they could build a new house with that 200 years ago. But now
it'll be like a week of hotels.
Not even.
At a
Depends
at a
on
really
the
bad one.
Right.
And
I
then
mean, that's what they
food,
gave people to
especially with
people.
this new
Now,
economy.
we'll push back a little bit. That is what they gave people in Maui as well, in Lahaina. After that wildfire that
terrible.
suddenly opened up all these opportunity zone areas they've been trying to redevelop for a really long time, but people were still living there. Those poor paupers. I've been
Two
to Lahaina.
words.
Yeah.
Lithium mines, North Carolina.
Yeah. Right. Also, what's
mountains.
So clear, you're clear cutting. There's so many things that it's just really awful. I mean, and the money, I think people really need to be aware of, like, that this money is that they're just going to take it, and they're going to go back before Congress and they're going to ask for money, and we're going to give it to them.
Damien,
Money
what do you think?
printer, go burr. So yeah, the whole thing, your government hates you, and some people don't understand exactly how much they do, because they're saying that there's no more money for, you know, people in our country that were born here whose families had grown up here and built homes, businesses, raised families. There's no money for you. But if you come illegally over the border, or if you live, you know, 3,000-4,000 miles away in, you know, Ukraine, you know, there's blank checks. And I find that absolutely ridiculous and unconscionable. And anybody in Congress who signs off on these I don't see how they sleep at night. But yes,
Yep.
our people here are being absolutely, you know, shafted, to be polite. And I don't think it's right. And so when they say here's $750, and we're gonna go more into, you know, FEMA responses and stuff later, right?
Yes, 100%. You
Okay,
know,
so
you know what
I'll
it
hold
is.
off what I want to say about that, but I'm not a fan right now, and I'm not a fan of
No.
the American people who have paid their entire lives into this system, only for that payment to be taken out of the system and given to other people.
They did say
that's crazy.
there was some people saying that, look, the $750. I was trying to back and forth on people on Facebook actually that were in North Carolina. I was like, how is this going to affect, like, the voting thing? And people were like, racist. I'm like, what? I'm just asking, like, how are things down? Saying, like, I asked them about the $750, and people were, like, you know, attacking me for asking questions. Like, that person's literally there. I'm just asking questions. So they said the $750 is the first wave of checks they're giving to everybody, and then afterwards, when your damage is more assessed, they'll send you more. So I will just put that out there.
Been denied too.
And I also want to
There's
say
a lot of
this too.
reports.
I think for the record, the government is made up of a lot of people. Most of those people are good people, and they actually want to help. The government is very inefficient. They tell you that, you know, they're not trying to save time. They're literally trying to slow things down. And there's a whole other thing, but it's the people at the top, those appointed positions. There's a small circle. I just want to say that. It's like when you say China and Russia and all this, like, most of the people in government are good.
The people
Yes, they are.
pulling the
And
strings,
they
just like
intend
the
well, but
federal
good intentions.
agencies.
The path to hell is paved with good intentions. So
Yes,
And
yes.
1,000 bottles of baby oil.
Let me tell you this. You're right on that, Don, that there is a lot of different people in the government that are good. But unfortunately, when they get high enough in a level, they get, you know, read into the real story, I guess you would call it. And they either have to play ball or they can't play the game anymore, unfortunately.
Well,
and
that's
the
like
thing
Hollywood.
That's like everything.
You got to go to a Diddy party. You got to go to a Diddy party before you're allowed into the upper echelons. It's really
Quincy
how it
Jones,
works.
he kicked off the whole Diddy thing.
You have to go to an Epstein Island party before you can bring Brown in the top echelon. It's not even that they've compromised. It's like you have to do it. You have to make a Hunter Biden laptop. This is what we're going to have on you this whole time.
But that goes back to what you were saying, is there's a lot of good people in the government. Unfortunately, those people that are great people in the government, you're either
the administrators, the people working it, the people you talk to on the phone. Those people are good Americans.
But even higher up, a little bit higher up, sometimes they want to do the right thing, but they're told orders to do the wrong thing by people way above them, because systematically, that's not the way that things are supposed to operate.
Those people are saying, fine, it's not going to affect me. I have my bills to pay. I have kids. They're thinking about their still intentions are they're trying to do the best they can with what they got. They're not going to sacrifice their career. You know, it's really a hard. But I back to the original point about the government systems. That's why our system's so good, because people are going to people. People are always going to people. They're corrupt. It is how it is, and our system somehow has survived all of that.
Checks and balances. Checks and balances. Well, I'll tell you what. Going back to the basis of this. There's always money for Ukraine. There's always money for Israel. There's money for everywhere else. But here,
well, Israel, they love Ukraine a lot more than they love Israel.
Well, it doesn't matter where it is. There's
love
money
everybody more than us.
There's money for missiles. Let's just put it that way.
There's money for everybody but Americans. They want to start with $750. Listen, this is 9 days ago. Look how much they just approved for Israel again. Not Israel, Ukraine again.
All right, turning our attention overseas now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky believes his country can win its ongoing war against Russia.
But he says for that to happen, he needs help from the United States and its allies. This week, he's pleading his case at the UN General Assembly, Capitol Hill, and the White House.
Yesterday, the Biden administration announced a $2.4 billion aid package.
I've also directed the Pentagon to allocate all the remaining security assistance funding that has been appropriated to Ukraine, period, by the end of my term, which is January 20.
We have to end this war. We need a just peace, and we must protect our people.
Vice President Harris says she will continue to support Ukraine if she wins in November. Former President Trump says he will be able to ease the tensions between Ukraine and Russia.
But Trump has not really given specifics of his plan. He was not saying if he believes Ukraine should give up some territory to Russia as a way to end that war, though Zelensky and Trump are scheduled to meet later today to discuss it.
So our options in roughly 1 month are going to be continued financial support of a war that'll never end, or Trump saying ease the tensions between Ukraine and Russia, end the war. He just wants people to stop dying. What do you think, Don?
Well, I think we could do a whole episode on Ukraine, honestly. The most interesting thing is,
little earthquake.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? It's like, okay, this conflict that's going on with Iran and Lebanon and Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis, the Triple H down there. Okay, they're all, they're proxied by Iran, who obviously the Biden administration unlocked a lot of money for. So that's okay. Okay, there's just some weird things going on, right? Okay, so they unlocked the money, unfroze assets, so Iran could have all this money, which they were obviously going to go to terrorism. Like, obviously. So, okay, so they knew that was going to be provoked. Something was going on in the Middle East. All these missiles are being put in. October 7th happened, and I think people are wondering, how could the Israeli intelligence, which is so good that they could implant beepers on all these, beepers and walkie-talkies and infiltrate the supply chain. And what we're seeing now in Lebanon is just so over the top, sophisticated, incredible, like impressive, that they let October 7th happen. So it's really hard. Is this a Pearl Harbor where they knew kind of it was coming? They knew there was going to be a greater conflict. So they knew this was happening. Pearl Harbor, they knew it was humming. They pulled out the carriers, left some old battleships and things like that. It was tragedy. But again, we have to understand, war is about numbers. You're going to lose people. How do you lose people? So war is hell. Literally.
I'd love to go in on Pearl Harbor at some other point.
Oh, we should definitely do a whole
because you're one of the few other people that actually know about the backstory of that.
Right. I mean, so then you have, okay, but the fact that's all happening. Now, what if Russia was not engaged in Ukraine? how would that, and remember just the conflict in Syria and how Russia was playing proxies, how would this whole thing with Israel and, you know, and go on if Russia and it could be funding? Because right now, Iran, where would they get all their military stuff? From Russia. And Russia's like, oh, we kind of need our missiles.
Have you guys seen, have you seen the meme?
The meme?
Which one?
The meme. It's got missiles coming down. And no, I don't have it available, but everybody knows which one I'm talking about. It's got missiles on one side flying toward the city, missiles on the other side flying toward the city, and one's labeled on the left American tax dollars, and then on the right it's labeled also somehow American tax dollars. But that's what it would.
Well, that is the money we pay to Iran, right? They're doing the missiles into Israel, and then Israel's firing missiles back. Are, you know, mostly missiles, Patriot missiles, things like that. And it really is. And then that's how the American industrial base, I mean, we're based on,
we fund
we're weapons manufacturers. So,
exactly.
But with Ukraine, it's so, again, it's horrible that we're even like having an academic discussion about this, because so many people are like, it's just like, I can't even, I don't even know, maybe I'm a sociopath. I think my brain just physically can't grasp the horrors of what's actually going on, because it's not being communicated to us like it was in Vietnam and everything like that. But again, is this preventing a more global conflict? The fact that the Ukrainian war has severely depleted Russia's ability to operate on a ground war, has this actually made things less likely to go bad?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll tell you what.
Because now they're taking out Hezbollah and Hamas. That's going to be done. They're done over there.
No. What you're seeing is you're seeing escalation worldwide, everywhere in little parts. You're not able to make the hornets stop horneting. I guess there's really stop freaking out by hitting more hornets' nests. That's all you're doing, is you're seeing the United States is coming around, boom, going to another part of the world, boom. That's how you create a world war.
No, but let's take that analogy. Let's picture China, Russia, Iran, all the countries as different hornets' nests, right? And China's over there buzzing, and it's getting really big, and you're like, dang, there's a lot of bees in there. Iran's really angry, and they're loud. They don't really like come out and attack very much, but they're really loud. Okay, so listen, if you're like
splitting the world down the center, Don.
Right, but if you're thinking Russia's a big hive, Iran's a big hive, China's a big hive, if all those guys come at us, we're done. So let's go over and just get at Russia for a little while and have them fight the little Ukrainian bees, and they're going to have a little hornet fight, right? And they're going to degrade it. So then Russia's nest is now a lot lower. They can't give more bees to help Iran. And then when Iran gets hit, so you're degrading the capabilities.
I'll tell you
why.
what.
Never been that much of a threat to begin with, though.
Right. They were a paper tiger.
Overstated. Well, I mean, listen, they got.
No, it's about the manufacturing. You don't understand. They're the ones sending all the stuff to Iran. And they're everything,
and a couple other places too.
And there's people, and I'm just saying they're occupied. So I mean, we've literally taken a piece off the
China
board.
with a couple things too.
Listen, like you said, Don.
I'm just playing devil. I'm just playing the steel.
Listen, no. But you're not being realistic, and you're not being historical. Historically, over the last 100 years, this is the game that the United States has played. They don't care who wins. They don't care as long as they get paid.
Of course they care who wins. It wants to be us. Well, actually, no. Now they want a global society, right? They want the UN, which is why they knocked out Libya. They knocked out the last little bits of people making up a fuss. And with Russia and China, their demographics are really bad. Like their actual population demographics, they're really, really bad. Like they're both bound for a major demographic collapse. We're going to see some major restructuring in the next 20, 30 years.
Yes, but so are we, which is why they want so many.
No, because
coming in.
Because of the migrants, we actually maintain a healthy base of pool of a population. As long as we can, get them to be American, which is fine. We have, you see the DNC conventions. We have Megan Thee Stallion.
Listen.
That's our American culture, baby.
I need a second. I need a second here. Listen, man, it's about quality. All right. So if you don't have a quality society, because that's what
I don't
Rome
disagree,
did.
but the difference is
let me finish.
Rome.
Let me finish. Rome brought in people, and they weren't quality people, and that was one of the things that led to their downfall. If you have people that are coming in that have money, right? If you have people that are low paid, low skilled workers, that's not going to be able to cover the taxes. That's not going to be able to cover these things. You look what happens to all these blue states where all the wealthy people escape What happens to the tax base? It's gone.
The
and rest
baby
of the
boomers
people
are going to
suffer.
die off, right? And that's going to be a whole thing done. And then the thing is,
Whole
you're
nother
missing the point.
situation.
That's also two birds with one stone. They're keeping our tax base kind of healthy, but they're also our population healthy, but also they're creating a denationalization of everywhere. It's happening all over Europe. It is happening in the United States. They don't do the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. They're creating a denationalization. I'm not saying this is good. I'm not saying this is good. I'm just saying it's happening. A denationalization. So eventually we're like, screw the US. We want to be world citizens. Right? That's kind of the whole idea of the migrant. But American culture, the thing is, it's a really good idea. America is a really good idea. So when people come over here, they're like, Biden, bleh. And there's literally, that's why we have like, they understand what they got, but they also understand what's across the border. And that's the difference. Like maybe it's kind of a giant, but it's kind of started this whole conversation. It's a giant backfire because all these Hispanics are voting pro MAGA, make America great again. Because they come into America and they're like, what the hell is this? This is
at least all the ones who come here legally, because
they're very
as
conservative.
an immigrant, as an immigrant, you go through a process. You have to do civics exams, right? You got to actually know things about our government and our country and history. You got to wait in line. It costs a lot of money too, very exorbitant. But and then people just cut in line. And so I've seen a lot of footage about like Mexican immigrants, and they're raving about it. They're like, yo, all these people are like, they went through all of this. I went through hell. I worked all these hours. I did all this and that. And these people are just cutting in line. Like, what? That's not fair to them. That's not fair to us. It's not fair to anybody, except for the people on the very top, who managed to be able to, like I said, a perpetual serf class.
Right.
That's what they
Well,
want.
in a way, there is almost a way, like maybe shuttling all this immigration is a good way, because if there wasn't, I'm just playing devil's advocate, there was a calculation that said your country is going to collapse because no one's having babies. So maybe it's like because they're doing this program to make, that's a whole other rabbit hole, why people aren't having babies, this and that, and then they bring all these people
They tell you
in.
not to.
When you get a chance, Don, when you get a chance, there's a really good video where Elon Musk actually explains it. So yes, there is a population collapse, but what essentially happens is we've had too big of a growth over the last 100 years. So it's not as sustainable.
Wicked artificial growth. Of course it's not.
Right. So the population needs to naturally come down. This happens in all animals, bugs, insects. It'll balance out.
It's going to, because you don't need the 6, 7 kids. People are just naturally having less kids. It's just
right, because half 100 years ago, half of them didn't make it to 10. Well, hold on 1 second. It's going to have a positive effect, because if you look back 40, 50 years, there was more available jobs. That's why the baby boomers were able to go and shake their hand and then get into a business where they're able to just stay their whole life and get a pension. If there's too many of us, that kind of a model just doesn't happen to work. But you can't do it through population control. It's silly to do that. But human beings,
vaccines,
right?
And
but
the
it naturally
outsourcing needs to stop too.
That's the big thing. It's naturally happening.
But see,
well, okay, so hear me
Hold
out.
on,
So
we got a comment here. I don't know if you want to read this one, Damien.
All right, demographics in the U.S. have gotten skewed. The European population of America has gone way down, while Hispanic and Blacks gone way up, mostly Hispanic. Border crisis is way worse than we all think. Then the general average American thinks, yes, absolutely. Us here, we know it's bad.
It's bad.
And I would
the
say,
ramifications of
if
it.
everyone, and a lot of these people, when they do become citizens because they want to become citizens, they actually have a better understanding of America than a lot of other people do, which is, I think, why they're skewing towards Trump, which is very interesting, a very interesting cultural backfire. It's like, it's an unforeseen, a result of what this, because people love America. Because again, what is our shared culture? It's not Irish or Chinese or Mexican or, it's our shared culture is freedom, is that documented. That's our shared culture. So like, hell yeah, come to America. I want everybody to come here, but I don't want you to be raping our children and eating our cats and eating our dogs. And
well, it's simpler than that, Don.
Eating the cats.
So that's why the Pledge of Allegiance was so important, because people would come here, they'd immigrate, they'd be first generation, and then they'd say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag every single day, and it would make us, you know what? It was silly. It was a little bit of indoctrination. Fine, it's America. Like, that's good. And then, things went off the rails. But, anyway, rabbit holing as we do.
Oh man, I had something good with that. I'm kind of blanking on right now. But Okay, so when I go to a lot of protests and rallies and this and that, one thing I notice too is some of the people that are the most staunchly like pro-American are certain types of immigrants, especially in New York City, Chinese people that have escaped communism. So you see all these waves of people with like Cubans, Venezuelans, people that escape all of this crap, and they come here and they skew heavily towards the right because they know it's down the pipeline, especially with the Cubans and stuff. But yeah, so I definitely want to say, from what I've seen, people that come here and actually want to be here and go through the process of being here, they value it more. And I see that people that are born here and they take it for granted. So let's say some random blue-haired college student in California with a Karl Marx or Che Guevara shirt. They don't value it very much, you know?
Well, the problem is a lot of those people, and I'm just generalizing here, but a lot of those people that are on college campuses, remember, college is expensive. So a lot of the times they're coming from middle class, upper middle class families. They're not coming from struggle. They haven't gone through it. And that's the thing is people will come here that they've, floated in from Cuba on a pile of garbage, and they're so happy to be here. And they're like, they meet someone like that and they go, why would you hate this place? Do you know what they did to me there?
Crazy.
You have freedom here. You could say what you want. You can love who you want. You can do what you want. You could start a business there. I start a business. I'm starting a business for the government. For, he's dead now, but Fidel Castro, when he was alive. You have freedom. You have liberty. And people do take it for granted 100%. And it is crazy because going back to what I was saying earlier, it's so sad that nobody speaks up that our government, which is supposed to represent us, does not put America first. And Don said it earlier. We do have good people in the government. We do. Biden took, 9 days to go down to the people over where the hurricanes hit? Well, we have good people. We have Tulsi Gabard. She went down there almost immediately. The President Trump went down immediately. Look what Tulsi did down there.
It's the sound of solace. Help is on the way.
We just kind of organized a private helicopter army to go in and survey the damage and extract people and take supplies in and just create landing zones for everybody to have supply routes in and out.
Matt McSwain is a pilot from Mount Holly and says he received a call from Operation Airdrop, an organization now working to shore up relief and rescue efforts for folks trapped in North Carolina's high country.
We've had 30.
Well, that's not Tulsi, but that was just some average people. Those people have been also going ahead and really helping out. Everybody's been getting involved, but Tulsi Gabard has been down there as well.
Just touched down. We were able to get on a helicopter so we could get a bird's eye view of the Lake Lure and Chimney Rock area.
This is the whole team right here for the town.
Sorry for everything that's happened. And it's hard to put into words what that devastation is and what it's going to take for them to even begin to start thinking about rebuilding. It's going to be a long road ahead.
So this is the operation. We're so fortunate to be so loved by everybody. We haven't had a natural disaster like this in Western North Carolina in a very long time. So the outpouring is amazing, and as you can see, volunteers galore, and it's just, so heartfelt.
It is incredible how far people traveling to come here, both to help but also to get the supplies they need.
To help from all over, Florida, Michigan, the Northeast. They're driving an exorbitant amount of distance to come here. As far as a volunteer, all over South Carolina and Eastern North Carolina, Georgia.
The rebuilding here is just going to be so expensive.
Yeah.
I own the Chimney Rock Inn.
Okay.
A third of the back is missing, completely wiped out.
See where the blue styrofoam is at?
Yep.
Our apartment was right under that. Everything
Wow.
is completely. You got the mountains around, everything gets funneled in there, and so you get this raging torrent, wall of water, 20 feet. It comes down the river, rock, mud, trees, houses, buildings, and it's just like a giant bulldozer slamming and everything. It just kind of clears it all out.
But anything you can do to keep us alive. I don't know what kind of water. We got water, MREs, we got some of that stuff. We're ready for the apocalypse. We need help building this road back. We need a big retaining wall. We need the park reopened. We need this road all the way up. That's the kind of help we need. We got chainsaws. We got water.
Yep.
We need structure.
Yep. Appreciate my best wishes.
We definitely appreciate you being here, though.
Well, that's, you know, the smallest thing we can do is just to try to lift up your voices and your stories and what the needs really are here. Glenn, nice to meet you. Tulsi, thanks for what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
It should be clear all the way down.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Good to
guys.
see you.
We're strong. We just need help.
Yeah.
So for me, that's America. That's a leadership.
We're strong. We just need help.
We're strong. We just need help. Exactly. And,
Great line.
you know, I did show a quick segment of it as well with the guys with the helicopters. FEMA wasn't showing up. Nobody was showing up. So everybody in the area that has a helicopter was going in trying to rescue people, because you only have so much time to rescue people. And again, all those people you see working in that hall, getting together, that's America. That's working together. That's freedom, liberty, and that's our culture, in my opinion. What do you think of that, Don?
I mean, what she said, I really liked. She said, look, it's just the little things. All we can do is raise your voices and you know, it seems like trite, it seems kind of like a platitude, but it's actually really true, because these politicians, right, it's almost awkward situations, like going into a donut shop, going into, you know, when you're doing retail politics, right, going into like different things like that, different places, and talking about, okay, well, what is she really going to do, right? Tulsi Gabbard. She's not an elected official, right? So really she's being there, she's covered by all these photographers. It's kind of like, it's kind of lame, you know, it's fake, it's contrived, right? For good or for bad. But what she says there is really important. She's like telling people why I'm here is not for a photo op. It's to raise your voices and your story, which I think is exactly what she did, because I would not have seen that clip if it wasn't for Tulsi Gabbard, like doing that clip and actually putting out to her platforms. And now the few people that like us are going to see some, you know, the hundreds of people that are going to watch this clip or whatever are going to see this, maybe see this for the first time and go, holy cow, what is going on there? And why the heck is our government not paying for it? All I do is pay taxes, and they suddenly ran out of money. Wait, how many big hurricanes have we had this year?
Well,
can you remember?
Only one.
Right.
At the border.
Right. At the border. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How we've already run out of money. And this again, they said, well, you know what? You want to do that? That's your policy decision. Sure. Go ahead, give it to the migrant policies, buy these apps. And if we need money for hurricanes, the people will pay it. Screw them.
They'll figure it out. What do you think, Damien?
Yeah, so with the whole thing with Tulsi, I don't think
Nice
it's as
cigar.
contrived. As an elected official, I don't think she's in any official capacity right now, but you know, she was elected for quite a while, pretty successful too, ran for president. Got more.
She got a
I just
platform.
want to point
She's
this
got
out.
a platform.
Right.
She also got more votes and delegates than Kamala Harris.
Steve, can you just pull up that clip for later,
But,
just for the end of the night, that Kamala Harris and Tulsi Gabbard clip, just because it's.
I'll try to find
just
it
for
at some
later. Just for
point.
later.
Yeah.
A little
Absolutely
nightcap.
battered her. I felt
doesn't get
like
old.
calling like the battered woman shelter because of that. That was great. Love Tulsi for that. And like I said, I really like Tulsi. Tulsi has always been fairly, you know, straightforward and reasonable. So the fact that she's joining on with Trump's team, it makes sense, and I'm totally here for it. I really do appreciate her going and helping people, and even if she's not elected official anymore, she still is active duty military from what I think, National Guard, I believe. So she still feels that civic duty to go and help people. So for her, and she also I think is more capable than some other people, because she can go in there. She might know how to do certain things that like Army Corps of Engineers can do. Like she might be able to actually help them build certain things and set up communications. So I think that Tulsi going there is probably more beneficial than most politicians, to be honest.
She's a great communicator, and she's making news headlines. So that's what I mean. Like, it's always seems so weird when people go there, but she actually came there when she said that. It was like, I see her purpose and she's following through. I like it. Like that's what we need from our leaders. That's leaders.
Yes.
Right. And again,
to follow the call and
do what you can. And she's like, I know it's a small thing. I'm just going to amplify your voice.
Right. And here's the thing too. I don't think she's in office anymore, right?
Nope.
No.
She's amplifying the message.
Look at this.
Yep.
So the people that are no longer in office are running down there to help. Again, Trump hasn't been president for 4 years, but he's been pretty much operating as it. Look at him here. He went down to a Georgia town to do pretty much the same thing as Tulsi. And again, even if they just go down there to try to cheer people up and bring some hope, do something. Don't just sit on a beach in Delaware like Biden does. Jeez.
No, he hasn't. In the shop. He hasn't?
Well, thank you very much. Hurricane Helene. Hurricane Helene turned out to be a big one, like just about the biggest that anyone's seen. I spoke with all of the relief people, all of the people that do this for a living and do this at least to help, and they said they've never seen one this bad. Valdosta has been ravaged. The town is very, very badly hurting, and many thousands are without power. They're running low on food and fuel. We brought a lot of it down with us. As you know, our country is in the final weeks of a hard-fought national election. But in a time like this, when a crisis hits, when our fellow citizens cry out in need, none of that matters. We're not talking about politics now. We have to all get together and get this solved. We need a lot of help. They have to have a lot of help down here. We look out for one another. We pull together. We pitch in. We persevere, and we pull it through. That is really the American spirit. That's what made America originally great.
Thank you, Mr. President, for coming and helping to put a spotlight on this city, this state, and this region that has lost so much. Thank you. May God bless you, Mr. President.
I mean, what do you think of that?
He was reading a speech, which is old school, and I love seeing
Yeah,
it because did you see that? Just want to say
Yeah.
that he's reading a speech, not a teleprompter. It's just you don't see that a lot these days. It's good.
It's
Damien?
nice sometimes to have things more on hand, because if you don't have, if you're relying on technology, we saw Kamala Harris had her little malfunction with her teleprompter yesterday, I believe it was, right?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Every
Steve,
day.
pull up the clip.
Every
Steve, pull up the
single
clip.
day. No, if you could pull up the clip and send it to me, I can pull it up.
It
I'm
got
kind
stuck
of
at some
working here.
point, and it was an awkward transition. More awkward than Joe Biden, because we all know Joe Biden's brain is, mashed potatoes. Kamala Harris is younger and supposed to be firing on more synapses, but she went for a good 30-45 seconds repeating like the number 24 or something like that, because the teleprompter was busted. And of course, we all know her. She can't go off script. But
Look,
yeah,
you know what it was with Trump down there? There's no power, so they couldn't even set up a teleprompter. Imagine maybe that's why Biden and Kamala haven't gone. They're like, what do you mean no teleprompter? No power.
yeah, no orphan blood for him to cycle through.
Imagine them running a generator in the background just so they could have the
Teleprompter, dude, that
have
would
the
be
tele.
nuts. Nope, as in
Don,
you
what do you
cannot have gasoline for your home, but we need it for our teleprompter.
what do you think of the generator, Don?
Of the generator? What generator? Oh, I don't know. You have to skip. I sent you a link. Skip through to the clip because it's Australia Sky News. But you got to play that clip.
No,
because
well, what I
it's
was
very much
telling
of
what I
this.
was
2 minutes
telling
anyway.
you, what I was telling you was that Mr. Biden was the reason that Trump probably had the paper is because
Lack of electricity.
lack of electricity.
That's
Maybe
good,
it was
though.
a
I
quick.
mean,
It was a quick hit stop. He does
So
that
that's-
sometimes.
But think about it. That's probably why
Seems
Biden and
more
Kamala
organic
haven't gone
than I
down.
like it.
Can we just very quickly just segue very quickly onto Biden? It's not really a segue, but more of a tangent. Biden coming out sometimes and saying recently, like, Kamala Harris has been with me 100% of the way, like doing all my policies.
Everything
He
that I
did
can
like a
do.
counter programming during her rally. She was having a rally. She was having a rally, one of the rare rallies.
This
And
it,
at
Don?
the very same time. Is this it? When Biden cuts
Is that
in?
the one where
Oh no,
only
this is the
60
clip.
people
This is
showed
the
up?
clip
I
of the
have no
teleprompter.
idea.
But I just want to say something. So she was at a rally, right?
Yeah.
I think it might have been this rally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was at this rally, basically. So MSNBC people could pick that up, right? Try to put that out there. Biden does a press conference in the briefing room, which he hasn't done in years, and you should actually really. I'm gonna pull that clip up next. Actually, now that we're just tangenting because it's amazing, and I think it's so.
We can tangent
important.
later.
No. That's what
we can
he was
tangent
doing
later.
this and it was counter programming. Because what would you do as a news station? You can't stay on Kamala's rally. You're gonna have to go to the president in the briefing room live. What is he doing?
We still have a lot of things to go over. We can tangent at some point later in the night, but right now we have to stay on topic.
Hit this clip.
We gotta stay. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna play this one over here, but then we're gonna move forward.
So 32 days.
Is this the one where her thing went down?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it right there.
32 days.
It's not working.
Okay, we got some business to do. We got some business to do.
It's fine.
All right.
It's all right. I'll post the link in the chat.
32 days. And we know we will do it.
Oh, she's so uniquely hopeless. At least Selena Myers tried to soldier on when her teleprompter malfunctioned.
This is Sky News.
Oh, I love Sky News. You kidding
Sky
me?
News is super based. That woman
What?
right there, she is.
Yeah,
super
it's Australian. It's
They
outrageous.
kicked out Jack Black in them right after saying thing about Trump, like Australia, because they saw it. But they took away the guns in Australia, right? And Australia's like, wait a minute, what the heck? I thought we were like
Are
cool
you
like
ta- are
America.
No, it was a gun buyback program that was mandatory.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took
All
the
right,
guns.
so moving on to our regular
took 'em all.
regular
Mao took 'em
programming
and
here.
melted them down.
But again, I
Good
just will
steal.
say, Biden counter programming Kamala and wearing the Trump hat and doing these things. Do you guys think,
It's
just
crazy.
real
It's
quick,
crazy.
do you
And-
think
and
that
you know
he
what would've been
wants her to
crazy?
lose?
Last FU
Do you think he wants her to lose? Do you think he wants
Yes, he
Trump
wants
to
her
win?
to lose.
Yeah?
Yes.
Are we all in
He's
agreement?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
So,
okay,
going back to actual
some
reality.
sobering terms.
Yes.
This is so
Well,
against the devastation.
Holy cow, I haven't seen this.
so this is actually what's happening down in the southeast of America.
So
here.
that was Main Street, and was put the storm surge pushed up and just took out all those buildings.
This is no, dude. I don't think you understand. This is in North Carolina.
That's what I'm saying in North Carolina. But the storm surge from the river came up. That's what we're looking at, and just took out all those buildings.
Yes, from all the rain that
Holy
came through.
cow! Oh wow!
You notice the church is still sitting though.
Yeah, 100%. That's
So is Trump. Wow! Wow! Wow!
I just can't imagine how much mud there. And this isn't actually even the worst of it. Like a lot of
Look
this
at
stuff just
look at the train track too. Like
the
that
train
whole
track got
bank,
completely pulled
I
into the
doubt-
water.
I highly doubt that the train was sitting right on the edge. That whole bank probably got washed out.
You
Oh,
have
yeah.
to remember
Oh, yeah.
that's
Because
also
trains
supposed to
are
be
big.
sitting on
Trains are big.
stones.
Yes,
Right.
And
trains
the stones
big,
are all
they're
gone.
heavy. It would not be on the riverbank like that. So
And
I would like
nothing.
to
I
see
mean,
before and
really?
after.
You're not getting anything in the news. I really feel like the news is really this is just like that thing in was it Ohio with the chemical spill, and it was
Yes,
basically
East
social
Palestine.
media. Yeah, it was all social media.
Who else didn't show up there?
John-
Biden didn't show up. It took like a week
Right.
for
It was
he
come out,
did, but
Transport
it took him
Secretary
forever.
Buttigieg to show up, but
Oh,
Trump
he
was
actually
there.
showed up.
Trump was there and he gave out
Literally.
water and
So
everything.
this is what's going on right now. This is really the biggest news in the country right now. In Drudge Report, which is the biggest news aggregator in the country, Jumpy Musk upstages the Don, positions himself as new MAGA king. Republicans in ruins after loss. Michael Moore, Trump is toast. Do the math. Legendary Texas prediction about afraid GOP voters. Like if you watch it, it's just so night and day. Like I wish you could put a split screen, Steve, of this footage and then Drudge Report's headlines, which again, Drudge Report is the front headlines of the internet. It's the biggest. you
Well,
know,
if somebody would want to go to Drudge Report, they can go to drudgereport.com.
it's crazy, dude.
This is
I don't
the
suggest
Great
it.
Reveal
Don't even go
podcast.
there. Just you know what? I like it to see
They
what's
fell
going
out hard.
what the headlines of the mainstream is, right? That it's an easy consumption. I don't have to go to the site.
just
Because
like
this
that.
is
even
what
better-
we're looking
even
at.
better-
This is the
even
real
better.
shit. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah, this is in
Nobody's
Florida.
talking about it.
Even better, go ahead and hit subscribe and get your news from the Great Reveal podcast. Don't go to the Drudge Report. Just hit subscribe. Don't go elsewhere.
He sold it. It's not even the Drudge Report anymore. It's literally the
that-
CIA
yes.
report.
Right.
Yep,
So
yep.
just
They're
hit
a bunch of
subscribe.
Drudge cut.
But it's
And get your news
important to
from
just
us.
see, and it's easy. I like it's accessible, but we're gonna give you the real breakdown. We're gonna give you the real shit.
Give it to you.
Yeah, so this is look at this. This is look
No
at this.
baby
This
oil.
This is before and after
Maybe a
from
little.
space. Pay attention.
Okay, little. Just
This
spit
is
on it.
before and after from space.
Oh, it's like a tornado.
Absolutely, in Kane. It's just a complete mud flood. And this one's not at our border. Absolutely insane. Let's see here.
I mean,
Oh, it's
can we
so
can we
sad.
actually talk about this for a second? What
Yes.
is the federal government's role in something like this?
Well,
I
you
mean,
have the
let's
Federal
talk about
Emergency
uh,
Management Fund. You're
No,
supposed
no, no.
to
What should the federal
Taking
government's
resources and
role?
providing. Okay, so the federal government.
send the freaking National Guard. That's what you do.
Because well, a lot
Army
of
Corps of
libertarians would
Engineers, you
say
build stuff.
this is insurance and state and local governments, right?
Does
Does the federal government not have a role in this?
Absolutely
the
not. Look
federal
what they did in
government-
look what they did in Gaza. Gaza, they set up freaking they had a dock. They had everything. If
How long did that dock last?
regardless,
Not long, that's a
they
different
did
story.
something. They
Less than
did
2
something.
days.
They immediately showed up to try to do something. That's the whole point. That the second that storm, they saw the path it was coming in. They knew how strong it was. It wasn't a surprise. This isn't 100 years ago where a hurricane hits and we don't know it's happening. They
We
know
have
for
satellites.
we have satellites. They know how bad it is. They have better satellites than we do, the government. They should be there immediately. Immediately. What do you
Steve,
think?
I think you just hit on something. Maybe the central point we should be thinking about. You're right. They're sending all of this aid to Gaza, to Ukraine. And where the heck is the government? Now, we could say it's incompetence. We could say the government's incompetent.
It's
but
simple.
It
No cut.
feels
It's
more
too
like
Where's my cut?
It's actual hate.
It's malicious.
It's
That's why I
not
said
love.
before.
It's not love. Because if you loved your people, you would do something about it. That's what Trump is so unique. And I know people just hate on it, and it's but he really feels like he just loves the people. He acknowledges where he's at, that he is so lucky to be where he's at. And he wants other people to be successful. He's going to be a tough fighter. And he's not going to take any BS. But, you know, and this is just so heartbreaking because you're so right. Where is the trucks, the army trucks pulling up with food and water? How easy would that be? Just to even, you know what? Just to show us you care. They
This
don't
is
even
what the
care to
National
show us.
Guard is
So not
for.
only did they hate us, they
National
actually
Guard.
don't even care to make us think they like us because they think it doesn't matter. They're so irrelevant that we
Right.
don't even need to even pretend that we like them because they're just going to go back to their video games and they're just going to cry about it and wah. And that's just like, it's really, I mean, it's just so, it's just, whew.
Damien, what are you thinking?
That's why I said before about no matter how much you think your government hates you, yeah, they hate you a lot more. And this is why I spoke before about them literally giving all of our resources away to everybody else who honestly doesn't deserve it. And do I have some empathy for people in other countries with their disasters? Yes, absolutely. But the thing is, we need to prioritize America. Like that's the short and skinny of it. And that goes for any government. Any government should be a nationalist government. You should put your
100%.
nation and your people above everything else.
If
we have
every
extra
country did that,
resources-
we'd be good.
Yes. If every country did that, then we wouldn't have immigration crisis. We wouldn't have starvation crises in other countries. We wouldn't have any of these problems. There wouldn't be a great brain drain in India and those countries because they would have pride in their countries and they would say, okay, we're poor, you know, we got kind of roughed up in, you know, the Middle Ages, but let's make it not suck anymore.
You know, I just
Everybody
want
needs
to
to
point this
do it.
out because people will say, well, oh, you're not being sympathetic to people suffering who are way poorer than us. And even our poor are rich compared to other people poor in the world, which is true. You know, when
There's a
you're sitting
point,
on the
yeah.
side of a road and there's lighting and somewhere to pee, kind of, but you can get all the drugs you want and you have a cell phone,
You
you're
got
better
air-
off than a lot of
you
other
got
places
air
in the country,
conditioning.
you know? But you got to think about the fable of the man in the desert with the pack of water. And he had to cross the desert. He had to get from one city to another to go back to his wife and kids. And he had this pack of water. And as he's journeying, he runs into a man who's very thirsty. And he ran out of water. And he says, sir, please give me that water. I need some water to continue my journey or I'm going to die. Please, sir. So the man takes pity on him, looks at his water, and gives the gentleman some water and helps him survive his way. And he says, okay, I think I can make this work. And he keeps walking. He finds another person who asking for water. And if I don't give this man water, he will surely die. So he looks at his water and he's like, all right, well, I think I have enough. I'll give you some water. And he gives him water and he continues on his way. And he comes upon yet another man who has made bad decisions for whatever circumstances, and it might not even be his fault. He was left there. He was waylaid by some robbers. And if he is this man, this man is sitting in the desert. I need water or I will surely die. And this man looks at his water and he says, if I give this man water, I surely will die and not have enough to get home to my wife and children. And there is the ethical question. Do you keep your water or do you give it to this man? And I'm sorry, you keep your water. And the point is, in our country, we should be giving us all water so that then when we're all good, we can take our wealth and our expertise and go actually spread it to the world and say, hey, you guys can have a better life too. We did it. And here's how we can do it. But instead, there's a certain circle of people that seem intent on destroying the nationalistic idea of America because it worked and it took their power away hundreds of years ago. And they've been working to take it again. And they're trying to destroy the nationalistic instinct to put us under a one world control where they can just dictate. And then we're all screwed. So yes, I'm sorry. It's not racist. It's not bad. America first, because we're the best idea.
That's right. And you know what? I want to kind of catapult on that. America, we wrote the blueprint with our Constitution. And here's the thing. It's been around for over 275 years. Every other country can adopt that into their own.
And they have in so many ways. But now they're adopting, what are they adopting now? The pride flag.
Oh.
They're putting the pride flag up in the embassy. That's what we're trying to export.
Don't get me started.
We use freedom and good. But that's because the people that are exporting our ideas are not Americans. They're people that have made their way from outer sources of ideas and powers and made their way into our circles of government, and they're the ones exporting this garbage. Anyway,
well,
sorry for the
moving along.
Hold on, Steve. Give me one more second.
Last one.
When our country was founded, they said that this Constitution can only work for a moral and just society, an informed society. So the reason why our thing was working is because you have to have morality and you need to be informed about the voting. That's why it worked.
So Elon Musk, right? A resurgence now, because our generation, and what's happening now, people watching this, we're more informed than ever. And that's why things are changing so rapidly and they feel so crazy, right?
100%. You know, and going back to talking about a very small group of people that kind of have a plan to push everything into a new world order, as you would say, I guess, per se.
You'll have nothing and you'll be happy.
You'll have nothing and you'll be happy.
You will have nothing and you will be happy. Eat the
Why do they always dress like super
Live in the pod.
They always do.
Because Ian Fleming was drawing from source material. So when we see James Bond, Eliza wasn't making it up.
It's real. It's there. It's in our face.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
I mean, if there can be Diddy and Epstein parties, all the other stuff is like.
But that stuff. You also have to remember that stuff.
Everybody knows about it too.
That stuff is.
Diddy got a key to the city from Eric Adams.
Well,
let that sink into it for a minute.
But just remember, tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of suppressed technology out there. Just the tip. There's a lot of suppressed technology out there, and for many years there has been rumors of weather modification and also rumors of climate change, and maybe the two go together.
Racist.
No, it sounds like the two might go together. I mean, they've been talking about it for a long time.
Are you suggesting that the government over the last 60 years has experimented in things that can modify the weather and create positive terms in a battle environment?
You know, it's been happening all the way back
that you would even insinuate that, Mike.
You would think that the U.S. government would try to be better than other militaries by using the weather? And are you actually suggesting that technology could be co-opted and possibly used against civilian populations for political gains?
Inconceivable.
Maybe. Well, let's take a little trip down memory lane here. I got a video from 13 years ago.
My government loves me. They'd never hurt me.
Do you know Mikhail Kako, the doctor?
I don't think you pronounced it right, but the Japanese
I
guy
didn't.
that's very, 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 very
Yes,
and
he's
way
very
better
smart.
than Neil deGrasse Tyson. Way better than Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I love
Objectively,
Neil
yes.
deGrasse Tyson,
Oh my
but
God.
still.
I love Neil deGrasse Tyson, except
I don't.
He changed. He's a
Okay,
changed
well
man.
we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna listen to
We'll
what
talk
he,
about that in another episode.
we're gonna hear what he had to say 13 years ago about weather modification.
Mark Twain was famous for saying, "Everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it." Well, obviously, to control the weather, you'd have to have superpowers. A simple thunderstorm has more energy than a hydrogen bomb. So to control the weather is very difficult. The CIA tried it during the Vietnam War. They tried to seed the clouds with crystals, iodide crystals, that form nuclei to form rain clouds to stimulate a monsoon season. The CIA did not like the Viet Cong, and the Viet Cong would operate in the jungles. So why not stop them in their tracks by seeding the clouds and creating an artificial monsoon? Well, that was a failure. And it's very humbling knowing that many countries have tried to control the weather. None of these harebrained schemes have actually worked. However, now that we have global warming, some people are saying that we really should think about altering the weather itself. There is a doomsday plan proposed by a Nobel laureate, and that is that if the greenhouse effect spirals out of control, we should put rockets to shoot pollutants into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight back into outer space. That would be a doomsday mechanism to control the weather. But weather control is really for a Type 1 civilization, minimum 100 years into the future.
So they've tried it. They've planned on doing it. They think it's a good way to reverse global warming. And some people at the higher ends have tried it multiple times. I mean, 15 years ago, we got Bill Gates here. He was called, what was he called here? Like the hurricane chief or something?
Let's see. Bill Gates, Esquire, medical, PhD,
Dr. Bill,
whatever.
Dr.
Yes,
William
Dr. Bill Gates, Esquire, esteemed.
Gates,
just
Esquire.
Like, what's his name? Biden's wife is,
Oh,
PhD.
Dr. Jill.
Dr.
Yes.
Jill, who's a literal glorified teacher. But I
Well,
digress.
Either way, oh yes, he was called the Hurricane Tamer, and this is again 15 years ago.
When you hear the name Bill Gates, you probably think Microsoft founder, but now the billionaire may be known as the Hurricane Tamer. Gates is listed as one of 13 inventors on a patent filed for hurricane prevention methods. Hurricanes gain strength from condensation driven by warm surface water, which leads to greater wind speeds. Gates and his team plan to use a fleet of ships to cool warm surface water by mixing it with colder water from greater depths. They hope this will sap energy from growing storms, leading to weaker, less devastating hurricanes. The patent, which isn't expected to be approved for another 18 months, was submitted by C-REIT LLC, a sub-entity of an Intellectual Ventures and an invention acquisition and development firm.
So 15 years ago, they were 18 months away from the patent being approved. And looks like about 10 years ago, they were talking about going ahead and using lasers for weather control. Have you heard anything about that before?
For weather control, vaguely. I know that they're doing this thing called, I'm trying to remember, talkative plasma or something, something plasma.
There's
where
a
they can
bunch of
try-
different ways that they're able to do it.
Well, this is very, very unique. It's something about active plasma or talking plasma, where they triangulate 3 lasers onto a focal point, and it basically can create the matter itself out of nothing, which,
Oh,
creates
so that's
a whole
totally
bunch of-
different. Yeah,
whole
still
bunch of
cool.
whole bunch of questions when it comes to physics. So one thing that made me think about too is the UFOs that many of these fighter pilots were seeing, how they would move in erratic and non-physical ways, right? But were still detectable by their sensors. So I'm thinking that it would have to be talking plasma, because you can't have any actual form of mass that moves at that speed at that angle. But
It's entirely possible.
No, it's not. Not in this atmosphere. So what I had thought initially was some type of projection equipment, which we have perfected. You want to talk about like, the Tupac concert or whatever, with his hollow projection. and how we have perfected that. So what we have is already, years behind what exists. So we all know that. But the fact is, they were able to basically generate a physical manifestation, some type of material that was able to move in ways that physical matter can't move.
I thought we were talking about hurricanes.
I actually really liked where you went with that, but we're going to get back to the hurricanes.
We're going on weather manipulation and laser.
Yes.
Laser direction.
So while they may be using lasers to project.
Jeez.
Talking plasma is the divergence that I went on to. When it comes to
yes, the laser, we saw the green lasers over Hawaii. Remember China, or we thought China was we saw the videos and stuff like that. Yeah, so lasers are like the more advanced version of HARP.
So let me get back to what you missed.
It's a beam. It's a direction. It's
correct.
Directed energy, right? That's what radar is directed energy.
So what you missed, Don, is that
lasers are unique too, though.
15 years ago, they were calling. It's fine. You were calling. 15 years ago on the news, they were calling Bill Gates the hurricane tamer.
I saw that. Yep.
And basically what they had is they were 18 months out from a patent that could control the weather, and now we're looking about 10 years back, and they were already at that time talking about. Let's see, we got a comment here. That's an interesting. Explain more good stuff from Edward. Well, thanks, Edward. We're going to do a little more deep dives later. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing. If you are, definitely hit that subscribe button. And we're about to move into this video here.
There's
about
definitely a lot of good stuff to explain. That's for sure.
Tons. That's why we keep getting off topic, because we try to have as much vast knowledge as possible. We love talking about this stuff. We get excited.
Format is our biggest enemy.
Format.
Timing. Honestly, give me like 6 hours and
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Sunday night.
It is Sunday night.
We just have to work in the morning. It's all right.
Don, what are you smoking on right there? That looks.
I'm smoking an acid blonde. Acid brand.
Oh, those are made in Connecticut, aren't they?
Yes, some Connecticut shade wrapper, exactly. Which I do love the Nicaraguan stuff, but I also do like Connecticut shade. I prefer a light smoke. I'm not a heavy smoker. I smoke very occasionally, but the blondes, it's nice. It's light, doesn't make you green. Some of the heavy stuff, and a decent size. Although I might have lit up. I thought I was lighting up a small one because we were gonna have a short conversation, but I should have lit up a real big one tonight.
Well, hey, maybe. I mean, listen, we keep going. Light up too. Light one for me as well.
Have you ever lit one? Have you ever lit one with a laser?
No.
Well,
but you're giving me ideas.
Let's see here what they were talking about 10 years ago on the local weather channel about using a laser to manipulate the weather.
What if you could fire a laser at the sky and make it rain? Oh, that sounds more interesting. Dave Malkoff explains.
Just another stormy, wet afternoon in central Florida. But what if you could pick up all this rain and move it where it's needed? Texas or California? What if a laser could start the rain?
So you can almost use it to set it off.
Matt Mills got into lasers as a kid.
It's just innately cool.
Now he's part of a team of scientists and military backers on the cutting edge of a new technology, making lasers powerful enough to reach up here into the sky where a thunderstorm is just about to start. In the near future, a push-button storm starter could be a real thing.
Just imagining this situation. If there was a rain cloud that was going to pass over an area of drought and not rain, you could, theoretically induce the rain and get the rain where it's needed.
That storm starter isn't the laser beam itself, but rather a popping energy that comes off of much higher power beams than this one. The problem is those pops have always had trouble getting into the sky. Now Matt has discovered a way to get the laser to pop all the way in the clouds. In theory, that's what starts a storm. We created a cloud of our own behind Matt's lab. A few months ago, Matt's colleagues in Arizona got this working experimentally. The next step is to get it to work in the sky.
The particles in the air are rubbing together, forming static electricity, and the conditions are now right, and they just need to be triggered now.
Does this concern you that you may be messing with Mother Nature and doing something that you don't completely understand up here in the cloud?
I mean, I suppose that's always a danger, but we're not even near to the case where it could be dangerous yet, so not too much.
It's almost like an on-off switch for a thunderstorm.
That's the idea behind it.
Right here in the cloud.
Yep.
In Orlando, Dave Malkoff, the Weather Channel.
Absolutely fascinating. absolutely fascinating, and it could change a lot of things, like these areas of drought that we're watching in the West, if it actually worked. All right, let's move on to sports.
That was amazing. I saw those lasers at a cabaret in Tampa. It made it rain there too. But this morning I'm going to start my...
So there they are, 10 years ago, talking about how this works. And he said at the end,
10
he
years
saw them
ago?
make it. He saw them make it rain in Tampa.
Can you, while we're talking, Steve, I'm going to tell you, pull up the clip of just the lasers in Hawaii, the green lasers that are coming down through the
let
sky.
me
Did
see
somebody
if I
pull
can
that? Well,
find it.
I'll start so you guys can find that. But
Oh, yeah. And there he goes. Damien, it's all you.
Okay, so yes, this whole thing, it's going back for a while, so I find it ridiculous that some people will be like, oh, that's a conspiracy, that's a hoax, when all of this is very clearly has been existed for a while. All the patents are listed. They are legitimate government programs and organizations, including HARP, which I'm sure we're going to get into. These methods have existed for a while, and it brings me back to
And they're getting more advanced.
of course. Well, just remember, everything that we know that is declassified from, the military or the private sector, we're not getting for 10 to 30 years late. So people that, okay, so he's off screen now. So
He'll be back. We're going to
stuff
wait for
with
him to show that laser video.
Stuff with the military, though, and like I said, certain private sector entities, they don't disclose anything for 10 to 30 years.
Right.
Everything that we as civilians know about is way, way far back. So the whole thing when it comes to the weather stuff, it makes me remember, and I spoke to you earlier about this.
Yep.
An episode of Top Gun, right? The BBC car show. Jeremy Clarkson, I believe, was the host's name. British guy, right? Awesome. He broke his hand punching Piers Morgan in the face at an event one time. Based. But that aside, they actually, and I showed my my mother this earlier because we were speaking about it. He actually went to one of these headquarters, one of these facilities, where they had one of the cloud machines, and they were actively making clouds. That's one of the first steps of the weather modification.
I've got the video for you if you wanted to see it.
Yeah, if you want to wait a second, because I also want to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Clouds obviously are a mixture of, gases, which we could make on land, and the devices that make it, they actually use a lot of the similar devices for rocketry, right? Massive.
Welcome back.
I have absolutely no idea why my hardwired and wireless internet, maybe it's the
CIA is after
I have
you.
no idea. I get
It
it.
zigged when it should have zagged.
Dude.
Oh,
Anyway,
I'm gonna
apologize.
bring up some comments really quick here. We got some good comments.
I
here
just
by word.
wanted to
I'm
say,
not seeing these comments for some reason. What the heck?
You're gonna see them on the screen in a moment. I'll read them
Alien
too.
reverse. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Oh,
there's a
okay.
good one.
So
Gonna get
here
to
we
it?
go.
they say it's lasers.
It is lasers,
Well,
but listen.
Lasers are more powerful than you might think, though.
Oh, there are all sorts of different powers. But either way, Edward's bringing it up here. Did you talk about the
completely
new
different
hurricane coming? We're going to be
Yes.
talking about that
Why do
new
I
hurricane
try?
coming in about a half hour. He's
Yes.
also saying that the new hurricane does not look normal. Fully agree. It's kind of starting in a really weird place.
Also, can I say
Alien
something about
reverse
the name?
technology.
Milton. So Milton, Paradise Lost.
Yes.
What was the author's name?
Hmm.
Where it actually. Okay, just me and you, Don. So where the 7 layers of hell and all of that was established was in John Milton's book Paradise Lost. This
Wasn't
hurricane was
Dante?
named Milton.
Oh no, that was based on Dante.
was
You're right.
Inferno.
You're right,
yes.
right. He based
So
on that. Yes,
Dante-
you know what? That's on my reading list. It's kind of towards the bottom, and I've never really picked it up, even though it's been on there for like 10 years, I think.
I have a great copy for you. It actually is both. Half is English, half is Italian, so you can cross reference it.
Okay, but
So
you got to
the thing
read
is,
kind of
it's a-
Dante's Inferno first, you think, right?
It's a trilogy. Dante. So it's La Divina Commedia, the Divine Comedy of Dante. You have heaven, you have purgatorio, and then you have hell, Inferno. People only really know about Inferno, which is
Right.
The
Just
hell.
very the 9
But there's
levels of
actually
hell, right?
3. There's
Mhm.
3 in that series that Dante Alighieri had written. So La Divina Commedia, like I said, by Dante Alighieri, and this was back 1600s. Yes, I highly
So
recommend
Paradise
it.
Lost, is that based on that?
Paradise, yes. John Milton. It's basically in the same universe of it, which piggybacks off of.
But more
the layers of
contemporary.
Hell and-
But more
Yes.
contemporary writings.
That
Yes,
sounds
and backed
interesting.
up-
You know, I have
and backed
Divine
up with a
Inferno.
lot.
I bought it. I bought the paper version of Divine Comedy, but I got waylaid by the Harry Potter series last year, which
it's
was
hard to get.
very
it's hard to get all
good.
three.
Very good. Harry Potter was really good. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
I need to. I'm
great
reading
series,
Dune right now,
absolutely.
but I think I'm gonna pick up the Dante's Inferno again
I
because
started Dune in
you're
jail,
right.
ironically.
Yeah. No, it's
Right,
a
before we
great
get-
time to read, right?
Before we get too off
Best thing you
topic,
could do.
those Chinese green lasers, they're the same ones they were talking about 10 years ago. And this was.
Speaking of reading,
Unusual sight captured on camera. Japanese and local astronomers say a Chinese satellite was recently seen beaming down green lasers over the
This is
islands.
it, right.
This video captured atop the Subaru telescope on Mauna Kea, operated by the National Astronomical Observatory of Japan. Bryce Moore has the
Sweet
story.
place, by the way.
The lasers flash for just a couple seconds. Initially thought to be from a NASA altimeter satellite, the Japanese put out a correction note on Monday saying NASA scientists found a most likely candidate as the ACDL instrument by the Chinese Daki-1 AEMS satellite. I went to a University of Hawaii astronomer who read up on AEMS.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause this. Look at this.
Holy cow.
This was I think 2 or 3 days before the fires happened in Hawaii.
Yes, and you know who knows? Oh, it was China. Oh,
Well,
but like
and the crazy
seriously?
thing is, it doesn't matter who it was. The two together at the same time is compared to what they were working on 10 years ago.
And I never saw that other video. So this was like, okay, ladies, you've heard of HARP, right? But that's old tech, right? That's like rotary phones compared to what they got now, and that's
Right.
that's wild.
point.
That's
They're-
wild.
they're-
Like
that we
obviously
are
they're
about
shooting
obsolete.
lasers from freaking Marjorie Taylor Greene might not be so crazy.
Well, and here's the thing about that too is they said, "Oh, she's anti-Semitic, Jewish space lasers." She never said anything about Jewish space lasers. She said like satellite technology and lasers and this and that.
They're inclusive space lasers.
Oh my
She never
god!
said
Listen.
Jewish. That's something that the leftists actually attributed to her to smear her. So I just wanted to
Wait,
put
she
that
what you
really
were
didn't
talking
say
about.
that? If she
No,
really
she
actually didn't say anything about, I never saw the
She
clips.
never
I
said
just,
about-
I assumed it
she-
was being, overdone, but she never said because people would be like, the Jews control the world,
No.
Whoa,
They literally
whoa.
just attributed that.
So
for-
she
for-
said space lasers, and they said, not ours. What do you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, no, the left actually incorporated the Jewish space lasers to make it an anti-Semitic trope. But Marjorie Taylor Greene.
We should
had
pull
never
that
said
clip
anything
at some
about
point
that.
of her original clip. I think that's
Okay,
important
well,
for
we
posterity.
have-
not now.
We have an agenda. We're going to stick to it from here on out. Okay, so we're going to.
Are you sure about
and
that?
yeah, 100%. So otherwise, this is going to be a 10-hour stream.
Only a
so,
Sith deals in absolute, Steve.
I'm down with that, bro.
Listen.
Give me-
All right, go.
I got enough
We'll just
scotch
skip
for
the whole
10
rest
hours
of the
to do.
episode. How about that?
No, we're not going to. So this
All right,
is
no.
actually something that Damien requested. This
Let's
is going
roll.
to be, what would you say it was?
In that case, let's definitely listen.
That is a cloud maker.
Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest. Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I
We
told you.
perfected this in the Middle East as well because obviously
Insane. Dubai.
You're
those
very
floods.
desert and arid climates. They perfected it just like how places in the Middle East also have the highest quality waters because they had to basically were forced to make the best filtration technology.
Didn't they accidentally screw up a few months ago and had a really bad flood in Dubai?
It was awful. Well, I mean, it was very dry.
No, that was climate change, you bigot.
Right.
Well,
I'm sorry.
right,
Had nothing,
but they
had nothing to do with technology.
climate change is real.
carbon.
They never said whether or not it was them doing it. So anyways,
That's a good point.
moving forward, I mean, it's true. It's just, you know,
Well,
it's
climate
just,
change is real. It's bad, and if I give more money to the government, it's going to magically.
it's going to
fix it.
go away. You know how much
That's
of our atmosphere is carbon dioxide? Hold on.
Here's
I
how
think
you
it's-
solve climate change.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
buy
that's
a
like-
house in a risky zone in Florida if you don't have the money
Yeah.
to self-insure.
Okay.
There
So
you go.
also,
Done.
that's
I'm
also
gonna
a
pull
good
it up.
point when it comes to real estate. Why would people that believe in climate change, like all these celebrities, like Leonardo DiCaprio and Obama,
It's an easy answer. Why would they buy
Mm,
those houses? Because they have enough money to self-insure. That's really what it is. And it's actually
That's
really
that's
sucky
part of it.
because
That's part of it.
Right.
that's why it's only going to be rich people, which is what stinks, right? Because they can self-insure and
But
it's
see,
just
banks,
what it is.
if banks believed in that, they wouldn't insure the properties
wouldn't
if that
insure.
was a real
Yes.
threat. So there's
Correct.
multiple levels to
Well,
this, but
Carbon dioxide is not a problem. Carbon dioxide, CO2, makes up a very small portion of the Earth's atmosphere, currently around 0.04%. You'll never, ever get a climate person to know that number.
Sounds
don't.
very racist, Steve.
They don't know it. You got to stop saying that. It's ridiculous.
Greta,
Um,
but it is, Steve. Everything is racist. I was told that by a reliable source. Greta Thunberg told me that, you know, I was racist because I didn't give all my money to the government to fix
Well,
the climate.
yes,
So,
give your money
I
to
mean,
the government and the climate gets better. Just
Well,
like
obviously.
put your money in the basket, come back every Sunday, and you
Yeah.
go to heaven.
Hey, at least church is doing something for you.
Anyways, so moving on. We have another one here where we're getting closer to today. So 2 years ago, we have a video about how humans can control the weather. We're getting closer and closer. Let's see.
You may call it controlling the weather, but in scientific terms, it's known as weather modification. Bottom line, it's just a fancy way of explaining how people alter weather conditions on a small or big scale. So let's start with why it's getting so much attention. Over the summer, you may have seen stories about what's called cloud seeding. Weather experts in Dubai launched laser drones, yes, laser drones, to shock rainwater out of the sky and help cool down extremely hot days. While it worked and the area did see some rain, it's not really an exact science, at least yet. Essentially, the process just helps push along the cycle of a rain cloud, but they can't really control things like how much rain an area will get. And this idea of cloud seeding isn't a new one. Since the 1940s, silver iodide and other chemicals have been released by planes up in the atmosphere to help with the development of clouds and help kickstart some rain. This method has been primarily used in areas trying to recover from droughts and to help replenish those water supplies, like in Dubai. It can also be used for helping to clear out fog or even reducing the amount of hail in a storm. Here's the problem though. Like we mentioned, cloud seeding isn't that reliable. It's also not that cost effective. Not every cloud can be seeded, and it is difficult to know how much rain or snow will be created, especially in more complex cloud systems. So while humans can't exactly control storms or create them out of thin air, we are seeing long-term impacts on our weather brought on by human activity, like CO2 emissions. We're talking about the extremes we're seeing when it comes to storms and temperatures. And that's what the science says when it comes to humans controlling the weather.
Wait a minute. So she just went on about how they do it and then said, we don't control the weather. We don't have a way to do it. But this is how we would do it if we could.
Well, it's true. She doesn't. But they're pushing it out there.
Here's us doing it. We can't do it.
Yeah. We though.
And they're
We
not
can't
using
do it.
silver. See, this whole thing comes back to chemtrails. And they're not, are they
Mm.
using do you think they're really using silver iodide, or are they using all the stuff that's not so good, like aluminum?
I mean, sometimes
It probably
they're-
started out with the silver, but they probably
They're
have
making
been...
the frogs gay.
Well,
Save
they're
our
actually
frogs. Vote Donald
save
Trump.
our frogs.
Protect America.
So they're actually
protect
using
our
a bunch of
wildlife
different.
and our
They're using a
amphibian
bunch of different
population.
technologies. You have to remember this technology is evolving over time.
Wait,
so
can
they're
I ask
trying
one
different
question though to you guys?
Uh-huh.
If they're doing this, why? I'm just gonna play devil's advocate here.
Well,
Is there a really a good the chemtrail thing? People are always like, oh, they're doing it on purpose to kill us, but no, they're not going to do that expensive. They can kill us a lot cheaper ways, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So they're doing this. maybe to actually is there something they're not telling us? Are we totally effed because of the things that now I'm just gonna pull this together really quick. Have they screwed things up so bad that there's all these conspiracies now because they're actually trying to fix the problem, and they're trying to fix the problem before the problem actually kills us, but they can't tell us about the problem because then we'll riot and the problem would stop the solution to the problem. It's like all the electric grid coming together. It's like maybe they know there's free energy, but they can't tell us about that yet because it'll destroy the whole energy infrastructure we have. So we have to get the infrastructure to electric first, and then we can transition it, you know, but after, like, we've already had built up the infrastructure, because they said we have free energy, you know, just saying.
Tesla told us about free energy over 100 years ago, and he died penniless because they absolutely dragged him through the mud. But other than that, Steve?
All right, so I have a theory, and this goes on with what Don said. It is possible that something big has happened, and I actually am going to point toward all the nuclear testing they did over the 20th century. You know, they now talk about if they were to drop a nuke in Arizona, oh my gosh, it would affect the whole East Coast and because of the weather patterns. Well, with modern nukes, no.
No, because
but it still affects the environment, right? I mean, even if it's not radiation, it's still screwed. I mean, look at the volcano that happened recently. That pushed all the water vapor into the air.
Hear me out. The heat alone can cause problems, especially things that are in the upper atmosphere. So not even necessarily talking about
cause problems and destroy the environment just because of the noise. You know,
but I'm not talking about the environment.
Because of that.
I'm not talking about the environment. I'm talking about what causes.
Just remember, I work in.
No, Steve, you're right. You're right.
Let me
look
finish,
at the Tonga Tonga volcano that went up and pushed up that water vapor in there and created a hot summer. So I mean, a nuclear bomb is that. It's like a volcano. So you're right. You're exactly right.
So what I'm saying is the fact that they were doing thousands and thousands upon them over a
not
50,
thousands,
60 year
not
period.
thousands.
I'm not saying just us. I'm talking about everybody.
There was not thousands of nuclear explosions.
Let me
maybe less than 100.
Well, just remember, nuclear explosions are not nearly as big as we're kind of trained to think because of, like, you know, the two instances that they've been used. Most of them are actually, and that's like with the radiation. All right, so the nukes that we had used against Japan were specially formulated for the maximum long-term effects. The nukes that we have before, and this is a thing that
we didn't have the technology, right? But we didn't have the hydrogen.
Though.
I'm not talking about modern nukes. I'm not talking about modern nukes.
There were hydrogen bombs.
I'm talking about, okay, so a total of 2,056 tests have been concluded worldwide, Don. So it's thousands.
2,056. All right.
We'll see what constitutes
that we know of. All right.
Let me finish.
Of the atom.
Please let me finish. Yes.
Nuclear
but I'm not
talking. We haven't even done nuclear fusion, but nuclear fission.
Hold on. I'm talking about just nukes, just the generalization of nuclear weapons. There's been 2,000 nuclear weapon tests, 2,056. So radiation aside, I'm talking the heat, just like Don said with the volcano. Damien, think about what may have happened. They may have done all these tests and realized they've completely torn apart the atmosphere or overheated it. What causes worse storms? Heat. All that heat coming up, it's
where
literally
were all those tests done, though?
Everywhere.
Most
everywhere.
of them,
mostly in the
Pacific,
Pacific,
the United States, at least,
in the West Coast.
I get that, but I don't.
But it still screws up the whole global
planet.
Climate. Would that be why inner Earth aliens came in with their UFOs and was like, yo, stop?
That's interesting, Tom,
and they gave us technology to maybe fix the problem because they're living in the Earth and they're like, you're gonna kill us all, bro.
Don, there's also a theory. There's also a theory, Don, that basically reason for a lot of these nuclear tests or proposed nuclear things have actually failed or malfunctioned because they were
because we didn't know what we were doing. We were just trying to beat the frickin' Nazis.
Well,
allegedly.
Like I said, in retrospect, the atomic bombs that we used, dropped off the Fat Boy, the Fat Boy that was dropped off the Enola Gay, were tiny in comparison because they had about a 3.5 mile total destruction radius and then like a 16-mile area of damage.
Right.
But see, also the radiation stuck there for 60, 70 years.
Right.
And it was actually designed that way. Yes.
But I think
correct.
my point.
Do you
my
think so?
point-
They no. I don't agree with that. I don't think they designed it particularly for maximum long-term human. I think that's all
Or
they
do you
had.
think that they
That's
just-
the only thing.
it was-
That's all they had. They knew there
It's
could be
possible.
something in the future, but it's the only thing they
Circle.
had. They weren't
It's
trying to
very
kill
possible.
civilians. They weren't. They
It's
knew they
very
had
possible,
to. But
and it's possible that we could have perfected it now.
we might have
So, like,
known
the
about
tactical
it,
nukes,
but we didn't
so,
have the
like,
ability.
Yes.
But the whole
So like
the
you
whole
had
point
mentioned
that I'm
before about the bombing on Russia or Russia nuking whatever is tactical nukes, and that they don't leave the
Hydrogen.
same area.
Correct.
they
As
don't
we
leave the
talked
same
about in a
area
previous
back.
episode. But
Dot.
anyway, why?
Dot.
Back to
hold on. The whole point of the matter is that like there might have been something screwed up with the weather patterns by releasing all that heat all at once over that period of time. That's a possibility. So maybe they're trying to fix it now. Who
Remember
knows?
the ozone
And no.
catastrophe that we had?
Let's
In the
say
But the
And
ozone
they
layer
claim-
closed up. It closed
you have
back
a
up.
government trying to
Yes,
fix
it
that.
heals.
But what is more permanent than a temporary government program? So let's say they screwed it up.
There's no.
Let's
such
say
thing.
we decided to try to fix it, and let's say you get someone into office that is like, huh, or not even in office, because the presidents are likely not even read into most of these programs.
They're
But
temporary
suddenly
employees.
you have people
They get
that
a folder.
become masters of these programs that, let's just say, maybe they were done for good reasons. They have to research this stuff. If the enemies are researching it, they have to research it. They did all the psychic. I mean, geez, the guy that just came out with that book imminent about the UFOs he was literally read into and trained as a psychic, the guy who, the men who stare at goats kind of thing. What's it called? A reader. He was trained as that. Lou Elizondo was trained as that. That was what they were doing.
But-
So we talk about these programs. So maybe they were doing these programs. I could even say in the 50s and 60s and 70s, dude, people were like coming into new science that was never before, and it was amazing. So maybe they actually were like, you know what? This was a good weather program. And then suddenly JFK assassination, boom, boom, boom. You get other people, Bushes, and now suddenly it's people using it to throw a hurricane into the election.
The Cold War threw everything off. It was an arms struggle, and so that actually brings me into like what Edward had said, talking about alien reverse technology. So we had, you mentioned the 60s, right? In the 50s. So we had a massive technology boom then, and it all seems
Huge.
to
After
center-
Tesla, right?
that was like an intermediary.
40s. Right, kind of.
But like you look at Area 51 and Roswell, it seems like a lot of our technological booms, and like I said, this is for Edward right here, a lot of things seems to line up with those crashes. And my personal belief is, so you'll see the most UFO activity around these desolate areas that are, roped off and this and that. You'll get shot if you encroach on Area 51 territory. Highly secure military base, right? So in my personal belief, and you guys can interject, I believe that there might have been a crash or something there, and stuff was recovered, and we have been reverse engineering it this whole time, which would explain a lot. If you look at our computer technology, integrated circuits, this and that, if you look at the time, so what the hell?
We're still here.
So
We're just
it shows
highlighting
that
you.
Okay. I thought y'all got nuked or whatever. So our technological advancement had basically gone like this, stagnant, for 100,000 years, 200,000 years in the 50s and 60s. So it seems like we had gotten something. Like I said, integrated circuit, we were using vacuum tubes and massive technology, like our first computer, ENIAC. ENIAC was so massive, it took up basically a room, two rooms, like 60 by 60 square feet. It was an absolutely massive form of technology. And then all of a sudden we were able to boom, boom, boom. So I think that, alien technology was recovered and used, and we have been integrating it in pretty much everything. Now we have things that are 1,000 times more powerful than our first computers in our pocket for literally everything. Steve,
It's not
thoughts?
only that it was just recovered. It was well, at first there was a couple different crashes that have happened. There was some that happened in the 30s, before Roswell even. The Germans had some. they had the
That
Wunderwaffen.
that would
were
make a
gonna-
lot of sense because they had a massive boon, between World War One and World War Two.
Correct. We're gonna do a huge deep dive into that at some point in the future. But you know, there is a project that was happened under Eisenhower. Supposedly Eisenhower had met and made an agreement. I think it was the
The most
Grenada.
underrated president we've ever had.
Yes,
plain
but
and
I think
simple. Eisenhower
there was
amazing.
there was an agreement supposedly made between us and the Greys where we gave some people, they gave us technology, and that was after some of these drops because we were probably looking at
I
this
don't.
stuff,
I don't
couldn't
think they
quite
would need
figure it
people
out.
though.
They do need
If
people.
anything,
They
I
do,
don't
because
think
that's-
so. If anything, I think
well-
they need labor.
Well, you have to remember, if you've come somewhere new, it was a trade program. We got some of their guys, they got some of our guys. And you hear all these rumors about these underground bases where they see both races of creatures actually working side by side on this. But again, we are
Do they
getting
need the genetics? So
the
like, you know, if you
genetics,
think
that's
about
what
the
it
Greys,
is.
like if you watch Stargate, right? SG-1, it was like the Greys were
Ooh.
like basically
the
humans are that it evolved so far into the future that their genetic diversity was so low and they didn't need certain things. It was kind of like Wall-E, they adapted in certain ways, or they were kind of cloning themselves, and they kept cloning themselves so many times because it's like Gattaca, right? Have you guys seen Gattaca?
Yes.
Okay, that's like
familiar
a
with it, but
classic.
I have
Okay,
not- I
watch that
can't-
movie. That's homework for all you listeners too.
All right,
Gattaca.
send me it. Send me it.
Okay, it's a great movie, and it's basically about like what happens in a society where you're creating custom children, and you know,
have
and you're
another
like, oh,
point
I
for
could do
that.
this, I could do this, and you keep doing that so far along, you become the Greys, and this is a whole other great tangent. Steve, mark this for another episode for sure. So
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
they're here harvesting, literally, maybe they are completely. They're just needing our genetic material so they survive as a species, and they're living out there, or there's some people are living in the inner Earth. I mean, this.
Damien?
Okay, so H.G. Wells, what was it? Not War of the Worlds.
You're talking about the time machine.
The time machine, where the human population had diverged into two basically different species. One
Brave
that
New
was
World.
More, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Brave New World was
Maybe
more of a-
expanded longer. So Brave New World, and then as if you kind of time out, it would almost be like the time machine, right?
No, because Brave New World was basically just a not post-apocalyptic. It's futuristic, and it's basically similar to 1984 on Fahrenheit 454 for a lot of things about the governments and the control of the people. But the time machine was unique because it had gone so far into the future.
It was like
where
100,000 years.
The government had
Right.
Yes, because he fell asleep. He got knocked out on the lever that was changing the time. So he had gone so far into the future where we had already gone through the collapse, and to the point where the human race had actually changed and diverged into two, and one was more animalistic,
Childlike.
and one was smart but meek and feeble, and they kind of almost like the Incas and the Aztecs, right? So the Aztecs were more of a warrior race, and basically cucked the Incas and out and use them, and would just basically run in and say, give us some food and we're going to take a bunch of your people.
So
That's
the
basically
Incas,
how
would you
that
say
ended.
the Incas were kind of like the civilized
were-
race, the good guys, and the
Yes,
Aztecs were the
yes.
bloodthirsty, crazy, the Satanists?
Aztecs
The
were a
Aztecs were the
warrior
early
cult.
Satanists.
Correct. Aztecs were more of a warrior culture,
murder
almost
cult.
almost how not Crete, Sparta.
Sparta?
Sparta
Right.
had actually
Although they weren't
invaded-
sacrificing children and eating them, and
they were
doing all that
kicking
crazy.
kids down mountains
That's
to
true.
fight with
That's
wolves.
true.
But my point is, Sparta had actually, they were a warrior class. They were very small but very strong. They had actually invaded Greece and actually taken over the capital of Greece for a time, and realized we don't like this. We don't like this whole democracy. We don't like ruling stuff. So that was kind of weird, and they kind of backed out after that.
Oh, we
But-
should do a whole episode on Mesoamerica and all
Dude,
that.
alien-
We
Yes.
definitely should, because well, they
Absolutely.
also communicated a lot with the aliens. But going back to alien technology, one of the supposed things, and again, here's a book. Write this down. Read it. It's called The Day After Roswell. But that kind of goes over the whole process of getting the ship and what they did and when they did it. And
Well,
that was
Lou
actually by-
Elizondo, Steve, to your point, literally just confirmed.
No.
Roswell happened.
No. Let me finish. This was Colonel Jay Corso. The book wasn't supposed to be released till after he died. He was directly working with all this stuff. He was in charge of the whole program as to where stuff went to be reverse engineered and stuff. The problem with people like Lou Elizondo is you
Is he
do
the one
not
with
want
the
to
Zeta
get.
Reticuli? Or is that somebody else? Zeta Reticuli.
You're thinking of somebody completely different. That's Bob
Okay,
Lazar.
good. Because
But-
he was, because he was kind of.
So Louis Elizondo was the guy.
No. Let me finish about Lou Elizondo.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You have to learn something very quickly. If the Pentagon is signing off on that Mabel to write it on it, it's a controlled opposition, 100%. They want to go ahead and no, again, he's
No. I'm telling you, I read his book. No, literally, like those the
I
recent videos, the Tic Tac video, and all those things that we've
They're real.
recently seen.
Yes.
No, they were real because he declassified them, and it was
know
for a
that.
different reason. So the
But let
things
me-
they're talking about are actually legally declassified. They legally can't go after him because they're legally declassified.
Correct. Because
they were
the-
declassified.
Listen to me.
Some
They'll
people
still-
want
they'll
to
do it
Listen to
behind
me.
the
Listen to me.
scenes,
Listen to me.
though.
Oh, I can't wait for this episode.
Here's the thing. The Pentagon, listen to me. The Pentagon is allowing this information to get out, which means that they want their spin behind it. The military-industrial complex.
Of course.
But listen,
people are going to
that's-
jail.
But it's not the true story. The military-industrial complex wants to take the alien situation, and what they want to do is they want to make it a national security one, when it is not that whatsoever. But we're going to go back to alien technology. One of the supposed things that we got out of those ships was lasers. And those lasers may now be being used to do weather manipulation. This is the storm. Oh, we got another comment here. It was a problem on. We had a problem.
Okay. We're good. Thank you for watching. I hope the
It was
UFO
a
talk
problem on
is
my
going to be a
end.
tease for
To
a really
Isaiah.
great
Thank
episode.
you, Isaiah.
Thank
Much
you,
love.
Isaiah.
Subscribe. We're just starting
I
out.
will say something about Isaiah Miller. He makes excellent alcohol and food.
Fantastic. I'll
He
love
is
to try some
fantastic.
sometime.
Yes.
This,
He
but
has
this
his own
laser,
style.
this
Shout
laser
out
technology,
to Isaiah. Love you. Wow.
this laser technology might have been used to start this storm. This is, or at least intensify.
And
it.
we're still talking about hurricanes. That's what's wild, really. This is the context of this conversation here.
Well, it's all
because it
connected.
encompasses so much.
Lasers.
Here's
Yeah,
footage
frickin' lasers.
of
Want
some
sharks with
crazy.
frickin' laser beams.
Here's some footage of some crazy anomalies as the storm Helene was, the Hurricane Helene was approaching Florida.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are waiting the arrival of major Category 4 Hurricane Helene. This thing is an absolute monster. But take a look at this anomaly that's shooting down almost to where we're going to see landfall. It's very interesting. I'm curious to see if this thing actually lands right on top of where we think landfall is going to be. Now, there's something else kind of shooting out here underneath this layer of moisture over the southeast. It looks like it's coming from either northern Florida or a radar tower in southern Georgia. But the main one right here, look at this big beam that shoots down right to about here. That's where we're expecting landfall, give or take. Now, something even more interesting I want to show you on a more detailed chart. All right, I'll show you once here and then we'll zoom in, but take a look. It's coming from up in this area and it shoots down right to about here where we're expecting landfall. I'll move forward and you'll pretty much see it right away. There it is now. Boom, right here. Okay, so now we're going to zoom in and see exactly where this thing points to, because that is not your normal beam that you see coming from these radar. And it's definitely coming from the state of Georgia, probably underneath this mess here. It's coming this way and there's a cross of that other beam either coming from northern Florida or southern Georgia. All right, this is about as close as we're going to get. We're going to see one anomaly over here in the western panhandle, and then we're going to look for that shot we were just looking at. We move one frame, boom, here's those weird waves that come off. We see this a lot underneath heavy systems, especially when they're approaching the coastlines. Now we're going to look for our beam here. We're going to see it pretty well. It's right about there. So this is pretty odd. I want to know what's going on here, and there's our cross beam, again, looking like it's coming from Florida itself, so it's coming up into this direction. This one is certainly coming down from Georgia into Florida, almost to where we're seeing landfall. If we backtrack a little bit, you can see here the momentum wants to bring this storm up and then kind of right into this area here. Maybe a little north, but that's what we're seeing. But take a look at these anomalies every couple frames, specifically that one we are looking at. There's another big one right there. It's kind of a sweeper. It's got multiple beams and it sweeps left to right. And now watch as we approach. notes. You're going to see a bunch of little ones, and then we're going to see our landfall beam. That's the only thing I can think of naming it right now. There it is. Boom, right there. So let's see how close this actually gets to where landfall takes place. Again, not something you really want to share on TikTok or anywhere else but X, because you'll just get straight up attacked. At least on X, we can have some conversations about things. Now, this looks very odd. Let me know your thoughts. I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, wild, huh?
I have not seen that,
I got the good stuff.
and I immediately want to verify it. Like, in the next day or so, I'm gonna go look and try to find some Doppler copies from some different poses, because it almost brings a tear to the eye. Because that is, if that's, I'm
If
sure
it's
they're gonna
legit.
say, is it an anomaly, this and that, but like, based on the other videos that we've seen, I mean, they're doing it. It's, I mean, the COVID, all of it. I mean, they're literally doing everything they can. And what's so crazy is they're kind of desperate. Like, even this, like, to do this, the assassin, I mean, just so much has happened. It's like, they're so desperate to stop him that, again, no matter how much you, like, hate this guy for whatever reason, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And, like, and that's
like that
the end of
sometimes.
the day. Like, he's not part of the team. I just can't see it. This is, man, that's nuts. That's
Damien?
absolutely nuts.
What do you think?
Yeah, dude. Listen, we're getting hit from all fronts on many different things. So this whole stuff with the weather manipulation, I just want everybody to stay safe. I would suggest that everybody stock up on, basic supplies. Don't make runs on the stores. We saw the impacts of that, like,
Don't
during the
panic.
COVID nonsense.
Already
You
have
go
it
and you-
in your home. Already have it. So then there's no
Yes.
panic. Just,
Buy
it's
a little
okay to
extra
have a
every
couple
time.
little extra toilet paper, little extra canned foods, and you cycle them, right? You have
Buy
some canned
extra
foods,
every
and then you
time.
just cycle them. As they start to expire, you use them and you buy more. And once you have the stockpile, maybe you buy one extra can every time you go to the store,
That's what I'm
right?
saying. Okay,
And
so
just
let's
stick it
just say
back.
you need 20 units to get you by the week. Buy 30 every week. Stockpile little by little. But when people make runs on the places, it really
It's not how our economy works. You can't do that. It's not going to work.
exactly. And a lot of people don't understand that if they've never worked in retail. So not only
Which will-
is that emptying the shelves, but also it screws up their what do you call that?
Their inventory.
Their analytics.
Everything is
Their analytics
yes,
for
the logistics.
Logistics,
for the
yes.
next ordering. Like it
'Cause
just
they don't
throws
know how
everything
to-
off. And
they
then
don't know
it's
how to
like they'll
actively
go and
order.
they'll order 10 times more, and then they get it in, and then it won't sell, and then they'll be like, okay, we're gonna X this product out. People in general in the United States, we do live generally in a land of prosperity, but the thing is, things happen.
Yeah,
And you should absolutely be prepared. So
Always.
if you're gonna stock up on some water, throw 30 bottles in water in your basement and one of those 25
Gravity-fed
food
filters,
crates.
guys.
Absolutely.
Gravity-fed filters is what you need.
Yes.
It used to
Always-
be
always
Berkey.
be
Like
prepared.
straw, shit like that.
Berkey filters.
Yes. But
the
also
most
like
important
a
thing-
25-year food crate, like in
Yes.
your basement.
I bought one of those maybe 10 years ago, and most of them are crap. Molded, fungus, cracked through. They were not bad. And it was from a brand that was trusted. So you got to be careful. With the thing is, you got to cycle food. Unless you're canning
Tell
and doing
me
things.
later, because I want to know
yeah,
who
yeah.
to stay away from.
We'll have to
honest.
cycle.
You gotta make sure that you're getting quality stuff. What I was gonna
Buy
say is a little piece of it. Well, and the thing is too is if you buy just one extra can of food, one you're building your stockpile, and two you're fighting inflation. But I want to say one big thing that's
You gotta
something that
stagger
people stagger it, and there's
The
also
rush,
something
the
that
rush is the problem that screws up.
We're
the supply
a
chain.
just-in-time supply chain, meaning it is
people
not necessary.
it easily breaks.
People
The
need
chain
to
breaks.
prepare slightly more. Period. And
But
all United States citizens should do this. They should get on the ball a little more. They should have a little more, and they should prepare a little.
100%.
Manage
What I'm gonna say.
expiration dates.
What I'm gonna say.
What?
What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll make this quick. One of the government things or whatever is 7-day supply. Every American should have at least a 7-day supply of things to keep you sustained, because, hate to break it to you, you can never rely on your government completely. Time after time, we have been shown this, that sometimes, like if you're in Asheville, you're going to be left out to dry. Every
There's just
citizen
not
should
enough
have-
people to. I mean, and that's just delicious. If you ever been to a
They
music
don't care.
festival, you'll understand big crowds, and it's control. Not everyone's gonna be taking. It's arbitrage, is what it's called. They're only gonna
and people
do what they
help
can.
out other people that are lacking at like music festivals, right? Like, oh, I forgot this, I forgot that. Some people can help out, but you can only rely on so many people for so long. So I would highly suggest, and like I said, this is even a government suggestion, which I take usually with a grain of salt.
Some of
but
it's
this
good.
one in particular is absolutely true. Correct. 7-day supply. Absolutely
biggest-
necessary. Water, food. If there's a massive storm, hurricane,
Condoms.
tornado, fill. The fuck uses that? Just kidding. Fill your
Oh, now we're
bathtub with
taking off
water.
YouTube immediately.
No.
Thanks.
No. Steve is. We're good though. But so my thing is, fill your bathtub with water, because in case of any event, you might need to use clean water. Fill up your bathtub.
During a hurricane or something like that. We
Yes,
should do. We know what we
emergencies.
will do a whole episode. We will do a whole episode.
It's a simple thing,
on
but
this,
it's
because I
something
think we're
that
about
everybody
we need to get to the deep dive here.
That's a very important thing though. Like something so simple. So guys like me and you, we look farther into this. Like I'm sure you got gas masks, maybe even bulletproof vests, like all these different things that
I have none of those things. Probably should.
Listen, I'll tell you right now. Biggest thing that I can say is make friends with all your neighbors. Try to see which ones are, kind of on the same page as
Community.
you.
Yeah.
Community is going to be extremely important. But as Don just said, we do need to move on. We're going to jump into our deep dive here. There is a couple little things we do have to go after. We do have a sponsor. And let me see if I can
Our
find
first
the-
sponsor.
Our first sponsor actually comes from
sponsor
the
I can
White
get
House.
behind.
Yeah, I know you can.
Good morning, folks. Let me tell you about the smartest person in my life. As you probably guessed, I'm talking about my son, Hunter, the magician. Sometimes he wanders into the Oval Office late at night and waves his magic wand around in the air a few times. Then he does a little spin, and abracadabra, all of this wonderful magic powder appears on my desk. I then said out loud, "Holy smokes, all of that powder belongs up my nose, doesn't it?" Hunter then looked at me with a twinkle in his eye and smiled. He said, "It sure does, Papa. It sure does." So to make my son proud, I gave the magic powder a good sniff. Then I gave it 2 or 3 more sniffs, and a 4th. Before I knew it, the Oval Office was transformed into this beautiful, dreamlike fantasy land. I was then surrounded by warm neon lights, and my friends, the Corn Pops, arrived to dance with me and drink hot cocoa. Then they all tickled me until I giggled like a schoolgirl. It was everything I ever wanted and more. I realized that not everyone can have a magician for a son, but I'm grateful that I do. Hunter is the smartest man alive, and I'm the luckiest papa there is, folks.
Well, thank you very much for that wonderful, wonderful commercial. Where did Don go? We lost Don. This is his
That's
little
okay.
segment
I
that he
lost you
wanted
a
to
couple
bring up.
times too. You might not have noticed though. Some of you guys
I've lost myself.
bounce in and out.
Oh, there he is.
But
Hey, everybody
but
gotta
yes,
go.
I'm back.
I'm Azrael, and I fully approve that message.
I'm sure
Oh boy,
you do.
I'll have to look back. What was that message?
Wow, we just got a jump in views. It
Well,
was
apparently,
because
like
I
Joe,
left.
like Joe Biden and cocaine. So,
Did you hear the thing about that? It was Kamala Harris's cocaine.
Oh wow.
no, I think she's more
I never
of a
considered
box
that.
There was a
wine
funny
type.
thread on that.
I don't even think that Kamala likes real
She's-
wine, like
she's an
good wine.
alcoholic, right?
She likes box wine.
Well, look. Before we get into our deep dive, I know Don.
Well,
you
hold
wanted
on.
me to
That
include
hurricane
this.
thing.
Kamala knows a
No,
lot about
no,
deep
the
dives.
hurricanes are behind us.
That's
We're gonna
freaking
talk more
nuts.
about that.
And ahead.
So
They
listen,
ain't gonna stop.
Don brought this to my attention earlier today. The left really has this do as I say, not as I do mentality. And it seems like the right, and this is the reason I think the right loses sometimes, is because they try to be they try to operate in integrity for the most part. I mean, look at the difference between a Republican rally.
They literally had an opera singer standing there, a real one that wasn't on camera, but he introduced him at the rally.
Okay, so that kind of gives you a gist of a Republican rally nowadays. And Don also brought this up to my attention. This was the DNC.
Hey! 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 Yeah.
Look at some of the faces in the background, please. Oh my lord. This
Body
is the
crazy,
most
curvy
amazing
waist.
conversation.
Yeah. Body crazy, curvy waist.
Nobody cares.
Look at how I body that. Ate it up and gave it back. Yeah.
That's I
Don,
think
it's not
enough
even
of
just that they don't care. Many of them were actually disgusted by it. So
Right?
the funny thing is,
Right, you can see if you go back to their faces.
What does a hookup
you
song
see some
have
of
to
the-
do with politics?
it doesn't. It has to do with
Right.
So okay, Steve, what wins elections? Does good policy win
that.
elections?
They probably
Yes or
paid her
no?
like $100,000 to do that or something
Listen,
ridiculous.
Yes,
Give,
but
that's what.
here's
That's
my here's
give
my
that
question.
bread and
Of your
circus.
donations.
Does good policy win elections? What wins elections? Though?
Money and
Name?
influence.
No, not even that.
Name recognition.
Names on pieces of paper. That's at the end of the
Votes.
day what
Right, then
wins
you're right, votes.
elections.
Votes
and
win
they don't even
elections.
have to be legitimate.
Votes.
Let's be honest.
Votes.
At
Well,
the end of the day,
gentlemen.
and Tim Pool had actually said this very well. He said Donald Trump won the argument, but Democrats got more names on pieces of
Democrats are good at messaging.
literally it. I am glad that Donald Trump had and like I said, I do understand and agree for the most part with the what's the word I'm looking for? Wanting to do things the right way. But the fact
Integrity.
yes, integrity. But at the end of the day, when he's telling people to only show up on election day,
That was
and
not
to
good.
do this or that, it wasn't good. And you know what? He realized this, and I think that Elon Musk and other contemporaries had helped him realize this. Because guess what? What did we see in Phoenix? Right, 4 of the biggest election facilities in Phoenix that basically determined the entire state, they didn't work because everybody showed up on day one.
Weren't they being
So
turned away?
Carrie Lake got knocked out because the machines didn't work, the facilities didn't work. Donald Trump had realized, and I think, like I said, Donald Trump is old. He's what, 78, 79 years old?
Something.
He seems hipper than most, but he's still not
Still
like
behind.
on our level. He's
Right? Oh
just
yeah. Well,
remember,
that's why
he's
Steve.
still
I mean,
almost-
Steve, you show me all the time these clips of Barron Trump. Basically guiding his social media.
Did you see the meme I posted of Barron Trump, his face, along with Alexander the Great?
Oh yeah, he did.
Well, we're gonna have a Project Looking Glass episode and talk about the Trump time travel book with Barron Trump.
Oh
We're
my
doing
I'm the one who
that.
brought that up earlier with Ingersoll Lockwood.
Actually, we should
yes.
also in that episode we should definitely talk
Philadelphia experiment, baby.
Hold on.
I'm with
We
it,
should
I'm
we
with
should
it.
we should talk about we should definitely talk about all the different celebrities that have connections to the past and
Are we
they
going back to
cloning?
Diddy?
Not
I hope
today.
not.
We're not going back to Diddy and
My butt is already sore. I don't want to go back.
but we actually are going to move forward. Thank you for everyone who has been here for this entire chaotic nightmare. But
It's
thank
only
you
going to
again.
get better.
It's actually about to get worse because we're about to deep dive into some really
Well, see, people like
heavy
the bad. That's why
stuff.
people
Well,
stop at car crashes.
why
So
do you
wait.
think I just said it's going to get worse? Today's topic is a
Steve,
very
before we move
What?
on, I sent you a clip. I just want you to play it, and it sums up the entire last clip, and then we can just move into the.
I actually played that for you. You were in the restroom.
No, you did not.
Yes, I
Wait,
did. I
what?
played it.
Wait,
Yeah, I
which
told
one?
you not to leave.
All right, fine.
Yeah,
Wait, which
it's
one?
it's
Hold
all of them. He sent me a bunch of clips, and the last one got played during when he was in the restroom.
He's lying.
So
but
we're
it's
gonna
okay. Move on, Steve.
we're going. No,
Yeah.
we definitely did. We're gonna move forward because I need to sleep at some point. I know you do too.
Hey, before we do this, Don, I see your nice bottle in the background. Are you having a sip right now?
A slight sip and a cigar, I think, is okay. Although it's past the time where I'm having more sips. I'm pretty much on seltzer water and water now. But I had a little
I
Glenlivet.
too am also enjoying a nice Glenlivet as well as you are. They're different kinds, but they're.
Are they
Now, is
sponsoring
yours
us?
a Caribbean? Well, mine's a. This is. I think we both have them from the Caribbean.
This is a rum cask one. This is a special fusion one. It's a
Oh, wait.
$100 bottle.
Actually, there is a video.
Let's begin this morning with tropical storm Milton expected to hit Florida's west coast as a major hurricane on Wednesday. The Florida governor already preemptively declaring a state of emergency in dozens of counties, with a lot of folks still cleaning up the mess from Hurricane Helene. With 15 million people now under flood alerts through Thursday, some in Tampa spent Saturday, look at that, preparing sandbags to try to hold back the expected storm surge. And it's that surge that could be catastrophic, with our NBC meteorologists forecasting 5 to 8 inches of rain in many spots, maxing out at maybe up to a foot of rain. We're going to keep an eye on this one throughout the week.
Hey, thanks for...
All right.
Was that Al Roker? Oh, man, I haven't even seen him since I was 16.
Yeah, he's alive. So...
Wow, he's on that Ozempic.
Yeah, well, either way, that's the other storm that's for some reason starting in the Gulf of Mexico and then going to hit Florida once again.
No, literally, you just showed a hurricane that might hit. That's a Category 5. It's going to hit Florida few weeks before the election, in a really important swing state. It might even swing northwards if enough lasers get at it. Nothing to see here.
Got to get those lasers.
Nothing
well,
to see
either way,
here at all.
thanks again
Don't
to
look at
everybody
those
that
lasers.
don't look at the lasers. They'll blind you. Our second.
So
I was gonna
that's
say second hour, but
Steve, that's the
What?
last. That's a hurricane that's current, right?
That is happening.
That's
right
happening
now.
right now.
Yes.
Meaning that in a couple days that could hit.
So we
roughly
just started.
25 days before the election.
Listen, over the
Oh,
last,
probably
you
less.
saw.
Can we
us
just
go
say, like,
timeline.
we haven't talked? We
We've
actually
already-
haven't talked
we've
about the
already
impact.
announced
We
Milton right
talked
now.
about the lasers, but we actually didn't talk about why. If you
And
think
where are
about
they
this
hitting?
again, is that going to affect rural voters? Will that affect the election?
Oh, absolutely.
As far
They
as
can-
people's addresses, how will like, is this the October surprise?
I told
One
you
of 'em.
that's exactly what it was. Why do you think I thought that this was so important?
And we didn't address it. We just watched the lasers and we're so shocked by that. We didn't talk about the consequences. I just wanted to put that
And
out there.
I'm glad you brought it up
Because
Damien.
The
What's-
lasers,
It was almost
uh,
assumed. It was assumed. I think we assumed it, but I think we just need to say that. So now
Yeah,
that we've
no,
said that,
there's
we can move on.
definitely- There's definitely still much more to get to. So the lasers and the weather is a precursor. So there's a lot more to come, and the ramifications of it, past and present, and possibly future. Because as it was mentioned, October surprise, there's a bunch. This October is going to be crazy, and me personally, I've told everybody that I know, keep your head on a swivel, stay safe, and, get some supplies because it's going to get weak deep.
What was the hurricane that was with Obama, where Obama was like Chris Christie like hugged Obama?
Katrina?
Remember that? No, that was
No,
Katrina.
Katrina was under Bush.
There was another hurricane
Really?
that happened to the Mitt
Was that
Romney
long
Obama
ago?
election, and Chris Christie
Diane,
famously
I
like
think?
hugged hugged Barack Obama when he came for aid, and that was like, a famous
That
flub.
Christie's a scumbag.
was. God, I don't remember. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
I don't remember what hurricane that was. Yeah,
Was it Diane?
Maybe it was
Google
Sandy.
search.
Might have been Sandy.
Yes, Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
Sandy was
There we go.
nasty, dude. That was
Yes.
ridiculous.
So
I never
anyway,
wanna
they've
go
been
through
doing
anything
this for
like
a
that
long
again.
time. They're going to keep doing it. Don't buy into it. Vote Donald Trump. And next subject.
And get to know your neighbors and take care of yourselves, people.
Yes, and have babies.
So, on another note, we're going to move into our deep dive. Our deep dive is
Balls deep dive.
it's two parts. So we're going to be looking into digital book burning and how it has become exponentially easier for tyrants to be able to change information, destroy information. They don't even have to go around and collect the books anymore and put them in a pile and burn them. They just go in, click delete, it's gone, or change a word, change the definition of a word.
Update the
that's all they need
audiobooks.
to do. Update the audiobooks. And again, we're also going to look back in the history of how they used to do it. In the second half of this, we're going to be going ahead and investigating the MK Ultra project. For those who may not know, that was a secret CIA project that was ran from 40s, 50s, all the way up into probably today, supposedly stopped in the 70s. We know it doesn't stop. It just goes somewhere
They
else.
just
due to-
changed the name, I'm sure.
They just changed the name. And then we're
Change
also
name,
going to
change
look.
patent, boom, different, boom.
Bingo. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to look into how they actually used the technology that they found from these mind control experiments and are now putting them into military application. So our first video here is a nice little documentary called Digital Bookburning.
Recently, we have essentially seen a rise in digital book burning, a purging of the undesirable or embarrassing from pop culture. There have been plenty of posts and comments already likening this new type of censorship to George Orwell's dystopian novel 1984, which I will also quote. Every record has been destroyed or falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed, every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. But even in this future that Orwell envisioned, there was physical evidence. The protagonist receives a picture, proof in his hands of the lies of the party. But now, there's almost no physical proof to even hold on to. I have always preferred physical media over digital ownership and have been reluctant to change.
I have many leather-bound books.
Still purchasing new and keeping most of my previously purchased collection of movies, TV shows, video games, and comic books in physical format. My issue had always been the fact that you didn't actually own the items that you purchase digitally. You own the right to view the item on the platform where you bought it. There may be some differences between companies, but generally speaking, you don't actually own any of it. Without the company or platform, there is no one to host this content online, and it just disappears. But what if the company actively decides to remove content? Apart from whether or not you actually own any of it, you don't. A lot of people don't even try to own it at all, but stream it. Many consumers subscribe to multiple streaming services where most popular movies and TV shows are spread or shared between them. This brings us back to the digital book burnings. Decisions by companies and creators have shown an additional reason not to rely solely on digital formats. Now, you may think calling them digital book burnings is overreaction and hyperbole, but the notion that digital censorship is taking hold in these formats stands. On a whim, they will edit or completely remove that which they find distasteful, and this is only the beginning. Modern shows like 30 Rock, Scrubs, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Community, and The Office have all had episodes or scenes removed from streaming services. Some of these removals came at the behest of the creators, while it seems others just came from the parent companies wanting to stifle controversy. Many of these shows are still in syndication, but these episodes will not be airing on TV again. In addition, several of these can no longer be rented or bought digitally either. Unless you have a physical copy in your hands or a copy already purchased in your digital library, there is no way to officially see them. And I think it is entirely possible that down the line, you may see companies remove the digital copies from customers who have purchased them. After all, if they stop hosting it entirely, you won't be able to access it, and like I already mentioned, you don't actually own it. Physical copies will basically be contraband. I assume all future physical re-releases will also omit this content. Not delving into the specifics too much, as racial issues are obviously complex and fraught with emotional landmines, but all of these examples are from comedies, with the joke often being a character is too dumb to realize they are being offensive, dancing on the razor's edge with technicalities, or it can just depict a character that is despicable by having them be racist. None of these depictions are equal to historic blackface, or something crazy like casting John Wayne as Genghis Khan. They are making fun of racists and playing with controversy. And yes, maybe these are offensive to some people, but almost all comedy is to someone. Take the most innocuous joke, and I bet you can find at least one person who is offended. And if you hold all media to that standard, where do you end up? There can be no comedies, past or present. At the heart of comedy is judgment of some kind, which will always be offensive. And if you think, well, that was all tasteless comedy anyways, and it deserved to be removed, Just to remember where you stand as a new wave of censorship begins. The scope will not be limited to a few comedies. They have already come for Gone with the Wind. The movie features the first African-American woman to win an Academy Award, but was removed from HBO Max. It has since returned to the platform after public outcry, but with a warning message about its racial insensitivity. And it will permeate other mediums besides movies and TV shows. Superhero comic books certainly have their share of art with racist caricatures. These issues will vanish from digital libraries. Want to read the entirety of Iron Man or Captain Marvel? Fat chance! The censorship will keep coming too. Movies where someone says the N-word, even if the character is depicted as the bad guy. Shows that use stereotypes for comedy, or anything that is believed to be incorrect thought. These will all get their due in this new wave of digital censorship. If you support the removal of these episodes and movies because they are offensive, you're in the same category as the puritanical book burners who destroyed novels because they thought something was sexually obscene. They thought they were protecting people too, but now you laugh at them and say they're closed-minded while you burn your own items to protect people.
See, it's no good, Monty. We've all got to be alike. The only way to be happy is for everyone to be made equal. So, we must burn the books, Montag. All the books.
If you agree with this, you might as well ban Huckleberry Finn again because it was offensive, or Catch-22 because it referred to some women as whores. Might as well chuck it all into the fire. I mean, I'm not saying these are the cultural equivalents to Huck Finn or Catch-22, or am I?
It's going to be a maze.
And I get it, I do. They think they are protecting people from being hurt, but they are misguided. I'm saying that everything in popular culture is a product of their time, and yes, some of those times and products are ugly. But by erasing that history, by purging it from the public record and consciousness, you're not protecting anyone. And if it was something offensive, you're not undoing the offense by pretending it doesn't exist. You're just sanitizing it for yourself to unblemish your own pride and preventing tough conversations from ever happening.
Now, here's a book about lung cancer. You see, all the cigarette smokers got into a panic, so for everybody's peace of mind, we burn it.
Works of controversy prompt discussions. That's largely the point. I understand it can be controversial because to stand against censorship is to be associated with what is being censored, but that's only because people are dumb. If someone says you shouldn't stand against censorship because it is offensive, there's literally no other time censorship is enforced. If it wasn't offensive, they wouldn't be censoring it. The more we rely on digital media for our entertainment, the more control we give to these companies. With complete dominion over the source material, there are a lot of things that could be altered without our knowledge. They can make changes or remove entire episodes that become urban legend, where people try to remember, did that actually happen? A real-life Mandela effect, where we live ever in the present because the past is dangerous, mistakes are unforgivable, and the truth is amorphous. This is Exasperated Nerd Explains. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Take a look around and see if there are any other videos you like. Bye.
Now that's a video that was from Exasperated Nerd. Definitely go over to his channel and subscribe. He makes a lot of cool content. I'm going to go ahead and add it in the description after the live stream. What did you guys think? Don? Azrael?
I really like his end statement about, you know, the effects on the free speech and, okay. I like his speech on the effects of the free speech and the reduction of it, and how all of these, you know, post-apocalyptic, you know, books and everything talk about it and the effects of it.
Yeah,
I'm
Don.
good now. Sorry
Yes,
about
good.
that.
Welcome home.
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. Well,
this is just reminds me of the first thing. Like it really is. It's Aunt Jemima, right?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Aunt Jemima brand. Like that was a good
Uncle
brand,
Ben.
right, Uncle Ben. Like, if you actually look at their stories, like, that is a story of just it, again, a product of its times, but it's about people succeeding in a crappy time. But just because it was a crappy time doesn't mean we should get rid of it. I mean, look at the Washington Redskins, or now the Washington Commanders. It's like, no, those people were terrifying. They have an interesting history, and yes, history is bloody, but dude, history is bloody. You know,
Their
Dan Carlin's
legacy has
hardcore
been
history.
erased.
Like you're literally exactly. And even the statues. We might not put up a statue, and we might find these, you know, Civil War generals aren't quite like, well, maybe they were on the wrong side. But it's important that we look at that, and it's important we look at that statue and understand that time and understand why it happened and what people fought for.
Right. Well, the thing too that really hits home for me is that, you know, this is why I brought it up. It's exponentially easier for them, or whoever's in power, just the powers that be in whatever country, in whatever part of the world, to just completely censor any information they want with the digital age, compared to how it used to be, where they would have to go ahead and collect all the books. And then there might be one floating around. Now they just go in, gone, or changed. Damien?
One benefit about that, though, is, okay, so in the digital age, you know, because we've evolved a long way from block printing, right?
Yeah.
So in the digital age, you can spread the information much more, and you can also delete it much more. But the fact remains is, just like many of these celebrities, like in this whole Diddy arc, that are just deleting their Twitters, guess what? The internet is still there, and it's always going to be. There are archives.
Your information, trust me.
Ooh, after
can't
Don,
undo
I
it.
gotta say.
So,
Don.
like, you can make it easy for the masses to not see it, but there's still a remnant of it, and you're never going to get rid of that.
In a way, Damien, it makes us hate ourselves, because if you can't see how much we've progressed from history, it makes us look like we're such crappy people because we haven't realized perfection, right? And we're not perfect. And humans, and if you look around and you go outside, you're like, oh my gosh, things are really bad. We're terrible people. But then if you look back 100 years, you're like, all right, we're not so bad. We've gotten a lot better. Even 50 years, even 20 years, even 10 years. We're so much better than that. So it's a scale. So if you make people forget about how bad it was in history, and that it was the English who actually were fighting against the Atlantic slave trade, and were literally shutting it down with using their military, like, you
look at
forget
it this
about
way.
that.
The
Look at it
Portuguese
this way.
ships,
Oh.
they paid them to release them.
Yes, but look at it this way. Look at
Church
it
of
this way.
England.
Like what you were saying, erasing how good it used to be. So think about the American 50s and 60s, how, and the 40s, you know, there's a little overlap there, but they're known as like the greatest times in American history.
For some
If they
people,
go-
they were.
Well, yes, yes, yes.
People, I'd argue.
For others,
Right.
not so
Economically.
good.
But what I
Still
was
better for black people then,
what I was trying to say
objectively.
what I was trying to say is very simple, right? If you can erase that entire period of time from people's memory or make them hate it, then eventually what'll happen is that you can provide your society with awful conditions and tell them that this is better than it used to be, and they'll believe you. Okay, so hold on.
What is the quality of life, right? We have more technology, but what is our quality of life?
Right. But let me just finish my thought
is
here,
pretty good.
please. This is going based on something Damien said. So Damien said the internet is always there. They're trying to erase the internet now. They are. You guys know what the Internet Archive is?
There's several, but yes.
They run the one that runs the Wayback Machine. So the Wayback
The
Machine.
that's honestly not even the best one.
Regardless, this is the reason I bring up the Internet Archive. Regardless if it's the best one or not, they're trying to take out the Internet Archive because it's supposedly breaching copyright laws. So I get that, but that's the cover. It's always the cover. What it is there's evidence, guaranteed evidence there. Like they're trying to,
Rewriting of
scrub.
history.
Correct. But they're also trying to scrub all these things, like you're saying on X. They're trying to delete all their stuff, the people that were involved with Diddy. What other evidence is sitting on the Wayback Machine that they don't want us to see?
A lot. Period.
Zeitgeist.
Oh, that
You
movie.
know,
that
literally
was,
stuff like that. You know, Loose
Yeah,
Change,
okay,
Alex
that's-
Jones. Once
The
you know,
first
but
one
that's
was awesome.
Oh yeah, I
The
agree.
sequels weren't. They didn't hit as hard. But yes, that helped a lot of people. Also, Loose Change, which was the documentary about 9/11 and the
I remember
funding.
that.
Me, Steve, me and you, we watched
Called
this
Ring.
together.
There was
Oh, I
one
know.
called Rings of Power, Empire of the City.
Mm.
And if you haven't seen that, it's one of very obscure, but it brings it all together and it changes. It's very David Icke. I don't know if you ever read David Icke, The Biggest Secret. You know, it's like this big.
He's interesting.
Interesting,
yeah.
man, yes. Lizards
Very
aside,
interesting.
right about most things. Yeah.
But right. What's interesting because you have to take everybody's information and you got to take it and collate it and kind of be like, all right, there's Alex Jones, there's David Icke, there's Rand Paul, Ron Paul, there's different people, and you just kind of have to like.
You got to
think
see
about
where they connect over.
You see the lasers in the sky, you see the Doppler, and you just have to find. We're not telling
Be
you
able
what to
to
think. We're just
determine
telling
for
you to think about
yourself
some
as
things.
a free-thinking person. But the thing is, the government doesn't want that.
No.
Yes, exactly. They do not want that. And I'll tell you what exactly before we move on to our next video here. One of the most famous quotes that always hits me hard when I read it is from George Orwell's 1984. The party told you to reject all evidence of your eyes and ears. It was the final, most essential commandment. And I really feel like that's kind of where we are now.
Yes, see, if they can make you wear a mask and stand 6 feet from people and not go see your grandmother while she's dying, they can make you do anything.
But guys, I don't think you understand this. We're at war with East Asia.
We've always been at
We've
war
always
with
been at
East
war with
Asia.
East Asia. War is peace.
Oh my God. I'm so glad that you guys actually got that, because I've actually delved into comments that people that mentioned 1984. And I said that, right? That's literally the first sentence of the book. And they're like, huh? And I'm like,
But they've read it.
That was given to me by my high school English teacher, I think it was.
Oh my God,
After
me
we read
too.
Animal Farm. I read Animal Farm and I was like, oh, I like this. She's like, here's 1984.
all
And I read
animals
that
are
and it just
equal.
all started opening
but
up.
some
to me. I was like,
animals are more
oh.
equal.
Dude,
So those are important. Those are important.
Giving a high school kid a 1984 and actually getting them that's like handing them a nuclear bomb. It's
Literally, from the
it's-
back
it's-
closet, they didn't even teach it. It was just like,
Animal
honestly,
Farm is, is close behind too.
honestly, I'll be honest with you.
changed my life. Changed my life.
I'll tell you what, 1984 might be more powerful than LSD, in all honesty.
Yes.
Galaxy is visual though.
This is
because it's so much about the mind. It makes you the memory hole.
Well,
It gives you all
books
of
are
that.
amazing. Books are amazing. You stare at
Knowledge is power.
thin-
Period.
It is, but you stare.
But
at
with
thin-
great power, Damien, comes great responsibility. And I
with
just got to say
great
that. because,
interrupting.
yes,
With great interrupting comes great silence.
you love it.
I
Hey,
don't.
Listen.
Uh,
Three people
listen,
at once,
so-
you're not going to get a full segment.
Wait till we have 4.
Well, one of ours, the CIA got him. He's on a trip.
love you,
So,
Tom.
anyways, now I don't even know what I was gonna say. Thanks, Don.
The CIA, they suck. And
I'm actually part of the
1984 was
CIA,
amazing.
and I'm here to stop your conversation pieces.
What was I? No, what was I saying?
I have no
we're talking
idea.
about 1984.
We're too deep.
Oh, yes.
Giving children books.
No, 1984. That's what I was gonna say. And if I get interrupted, I'm just leaving the stream at this
Moo.
point. So now I've forgotten. Okay, books. Books are amazing.
Books are
tools.
good.
Yes, books are good. No, but have you ever thought about the magical part of books?
Yes.
The spoken word, the written word.
No. So books are very thin pieces of wood covered in symbols and symbology, and you stare at them, shuffling through the symbols, and you hallucinate.
Right. True. All right.
They
That's why
are
Harry Potter's so
absolute-
good.
Books are
Your
amazing.
brain has to incorporate all the little symbols. Your brain, this is the amazing thing about the brain. Your brain has to take every single word or every single letter, incorporate them all together, and then create a sentence,
Yes.
create a meaning inside of your brain.
And you see it.
Transmutation.
100% agree with you on that. So now that we've established that books are good, our next video will bring us to a very simple conclusion. The Nazis burning books. They had to do it the old-fashioned way. They had to go into every town and collect what they didn't want and get it out of the libraries, and they had to bring it in a pile in the street, and they had to do this.
In this poignant documentary, we explore the harrowing reasons behind the Nazis' heinous act of burning books. As you watch, you'll be transported back in time to witness the distressing sight of priceless cultural artifacts going up in flames, the flames symbolizing the brutal suppression of knowledge and freedom of expression. Through this film, we learn how the Nazi regime sought to destroy the written word so that they could control the narrative and dominate the minds of their people. By delving into this painful topic, we honor the memories of those who were silenced and vow to protect knowledge and freedom at all costs. We take a walk down memory lane to explore one of the most tragic events in history, the burning of books by the Nazis. This act of cultural destruction was one of the most brutal displays of destroying knowledge the world has ever seen. As we delve deeper into the history of burning books during the Nazi regime, it becomes evident that this act of cultural destruction was not just an isolated event. It was well planned, systematic, and an effort to wipe out knowledge and ideas that were deemed to be against the Nazi ideology. The Nazis targeted books by Jewish and communist authors, as well as works on topics such as feminism, democracy, and human rights. The burning of books was a deliberate attempt to silence opposing voices and create a literary void that would support their propaganda. Despite the devastating impacts of the book burnings, it is important that we remember and learn from this dark episode in history. To understand why the Nazis burned books, let's take a look at the context of the time. Germany was in a precarious position after World War I, and a new political party had risen to power. With new ideologies, it aimed to reshape the world. One of the primary objectives of the Nazi Party was to control the spread of knowledge and information. During the early 1900s, Germany was struggling to get back on its feet after World War I. The Treaty of Versailles had left the country in debt with a weak economy. The political climate was tense, and there were various groups vying for power. In this chaotic period, the Nazi Party emerged, led by a charismatic leader named Adolf Hitler. They saw themselves as the saviours of Germany and promised to restore it to its former glory. To achieve their goals, they sought to rewrite history and control the minds of the people. Burning books was one of the ways they could effectively control the spread of knowledge and information, ensuring that their version of events was the only one that people knew. By silencing opposing ideas, they could create their own narrative and manipulate the masses to suit their agenda. The burning of books begins. On May 10, 1933, students across the country helped burn books with authors who were Jewish, communist, or simply not welcomed by the Nazis. This act of destruction was just a beginning, and the government ordered the libraries and bookstores to remove and destroy works deemed subversive or in opposition to the regime. The burning of books wasn't just an act of violence, it was an attack on culture, religion, and history. Over 100 million books were burnt throughout the entire war period. Some of the most famous works destroyed were those of Thomas Mann, Sigmund Freud, and Albert Einstein. The impact of this destruction was felt beyond just the loss of cultural heritage. It was also an attack on freedom of expression for minorities. Many of the authors had to flee the country while others were killed. The only hope was that the world will never experience such an event again. It has been over 80 years since the Nazi regime burned the books, and it is important to honour history and never forget it. The burning of books was not just about destroying literature, it was an effort to wipe out culture and dissent. We should always remember the past and preserve knowledge so that it can never be destroyed again. The actions of the Nazi regime during the book burning events presented much more than just burning literature. It was a direct attack on human freedom and the power of knowledge. We must always hold on to our heritage and never let go of our history, even if it is painful. Preservation of knowledge is a crucial aspect of our society, and we must take measures to ensure that it is not forgotten. We must continue to honour those who stood up for their beliefs during that dark period in history and never allow such atrocities to occur again. That brings us to the end of the video. As always, we hope you found it informative and engaging. If you did like it, then please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating insights from the past. If there are any other subjects you would like us to cover, please drop a comment below, and thank you for watching.
So definitely go over to his channel and give him a like and a sub. He made a really good documentary over there, a little mini doc. One of the biggest things that stood out to me was 100 million books burned over the course of the war. Speakers. Don, what do you think about that? Isn't that crazy number? 100 million books?
What stuck out for me more, I mean, the books, yes, but was the year. 1933. When was D-Day?
D-Day was going to be
1944.
Right.
Pearl Harbor was 1942. 33? He didn't really kick things off till like 38.
Oh, it's
right,
kinda
so that
slow.
means
39.
5 years.
World War started 39.
Right,
he
right.
invaded
With
Poland.
38, he started, accumulating
Hungary.
territory, the Rhineland. Yeah,
Remember,
exactly.
He had power even before he got arrested, went to jail, and then came
Right.
back out.
But I'm just what my point is, 1933. That's 5 years before things really get started, and that kind of shows the precursor. So, like, you kind of see things starting like that now. It's like, okay, you take away the information and then you let it simmer for a few. Like, that's kind of the knock-on effects, right? Like, you have to take away the information, but it's not immediate. But it seeps into the culture, and it took a few years. And you see that where things are at now, right? Like, this is just the beginning.
Damien?
Well, one thing I want to say about when it comes to controlling media, now back then, obviously, they didn't have the internet. So media was much more cut and dry. And that's why, was it Joseph Goebbels, right? He was the minister of propaganda, I think was the official title. It might have had a different ring in German. But that was such an important role because... So, Steve, I know for a fact you have played extensively like Far Cry 4, right?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Don, I don't know if you have.
I played Far Cry.
Well, okay, so Far Cry 4
I don't know
in
if it was
particular,
4. It was 4.
You would love to play 4.
Oh, amazing.
Pagan Men.
Absolutely
I
recommend
think.
it.
Oh no, I played 4. That was like the
Okay,
Vietnamese,
so we're-
right?
Well, it's like you're in like Nepal, Tibet.
Yeah,
like,
Nepal. Yep, that's what it was. Yep.
So yeah, RJ
That's cool.
Valley or whatever.
That was cool.
But the thing about that is Pagan Men is the dictator, and the main thing is so you have to climb these towers to destroy these propaganda machines, right? And the whole thing is it has a good center on propaganda, with destroying the posters, with destroying the megaphones and this and that, because it's constant propaganda. And that's stuff that they did a lot in Germany, and they do a lot in North Korea, and maybe Vietnam and stuff during that era. So the reason why I mentioned that game is because it put you front and center with that, where you are seeing communities' reactions with those, because your whole village might feel a certain way, but guess what? If you have a tower with a megaphone and posters all over with this propaganda works. And
Eventually,
like I said,
it takes time.
I mentioned
Propaganda is
Goebbels
just
for a reason.
advertising, really. I mean, it's just advertising, but
yes.
it's about intention. It's just defining the intention of the advertising, and
You put out
it's a
information
spin.
to
Right.
sway
opinion for good or for bad. And the thing is, we
Mm-hmm.
can't deny that sometimes it's for the best.
Sometimes,
Well,
yes.
Sometimes,
but again,
sometimes in a police operation, right? Something's gonna happen, and they say something different on the news, which is true because they're trying to entrap the criminal, like just stuff like that. So, it's hard to say.
So
the word indoctrination is actually neutral, because we think about indoctrination as a bad thing, but the fact is indoctrination can also be good. It's just a method of basically teaching people over a course of time and feeding them information. That information could be good, it could be bad, but the indoctrination itself is fairly
and it has
neutral.
to be drip fed. So the reason that I brought up 100 million books and that why this stuck out to me is because think about the amount of manpower it would have taken to be able to collect. Again, it happened over many years throughout the war.
Fahrenheit 454.
Right.
You got
So
teams going house to house, taking books and then torching them.
But
Another great read for anybody who's not familiar with it.
fully
Highly
agree.
recommend.
But you're looking at hundreds of thousands of men needed, if not more, to get this operation taken care of. Now they no longer have to do that. They have one guy go in and change, change the Wikipedia article and then all they have to do is very simple. And
just take it off at Disney Plus and take the tax write-off right down.
Or upload the scene.
Why are my kids gay now?
Or you just remove the scene that you consider offensive now and tell people it never existed.
Or the entire season of Willow too.
Disney.
Do you guys remember Shazam, the movie with Shaq?
Was it Kazam?
Shazam.
Kazam. Oh, we're talking about the Mandela effect.
No, Shazam.
With what's his name? Not Shaq. That wasn't Shaq.
So you think they do it on purpose?
Sinbad.
There's no way, because somebody would have a hard copy.
That never happened. I remember very clearly.
I'm not saying that necessarily, but at the same time, even if you're I know I've seen the movie, but even if you're going to go ahead and do something fake, like, you have to create something to be able to get people to question themselves, to really not be, I know I thought I saw that movie, but maybe it wasn't real. But then you add other stuff. Convince enough people. Right.
Because
and then
the masses also they change people's minds, because think about this. If you have one person that is absolutely sure about something, and then all of their peers say, no, that's not true, that person is going to doubt themselves, and then they're going to change their mind and think that they're the ones that are wrong.
So, yes. But the thing is what I'm saying is if you have a fake campaign for a movie that never existed at first, and you create this idea of a Mandela effect, then you can slowly start adding in whatever ideas you want and say, no, that was always there. You must just be thinking of it like
gaslighting. It's literally gaslighting.
It's gaslighting. That's probably what we're looking at. It's a form of mind control advertisement.
Well, false consensus is the most powerful, and that's the whole manipulation of the social medias with all the bots. The real reason is to make there a false consensus. So when you read on comments, you read on likes, you're like, oh, the people that hate Trump, everybody hates Trump apparently. So obviously that's the right thing to do, right? False consensus. And that's the same thing with all that. That's about the memory hole, about everything. It's like, if everyone believed, it's like in Animal Farm, we talked about Animal Farm when they'd rewrite the rules on the wall. It's like, oh, I guess it's always been like that.
Confusion is a powerful weapon.
You didn't always need to walk through a body scanner to go through an airport.
Why are the pigs wearing jackets and standing upright? Oh, we've always done that. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about, peasant?
I don't remember that. And then was it the horses that neigh in the back? They say, "Oh, it's always been like that." So
it's always been like that.
It's always been like that.
Right, and then what happens to the people that question it?
You go away.
Right, they get turned into sausages.
You get to turn little rock or big rocks into little rocks.
Yes.
My favorite pastime.
So, anyways, moving forward, it's so much easier for them to do it now than it was, and they do it. It's just crazy. It's absolutely insane.
Just like creating national debt.
There is no such thing. There's no money.
That's literally it.
There's no such thing. It's all fake. The economy.
We're a bunch of deplorables. This is a deplorable podcast.
This is a fantastic podcast.
You all should be ashamed of yourself.
What
else we got? What do we got left, Steve?
So what we do have left,
I embrace it.
I'm not ashamed. So what we do have left is on the same note. In order to be able to convince that many people to go ahead and do all that nasty stuff and collect all those books and round up people, you need to put them through intensive mind control.
Clockwork Orange?
Similar, but real. So you'll start seeing that these kind of experiments that were happening over there ended up happening here. I'm going to say 2 words: Project Paperclip. We're going to talk about that more in depth on another one. But for anybody who wants to prep, look up those words: Project Paperclip. A lot of that led to what we now know as MK Ultra program. So we're going to go ahead and watch a short video about that and have a nice deep discussion with 1,000 bottles of baby oil afterwards.
I was given a glass of Kool-Aid, and so were the other children. This Kool-Aid was spiked with LSD. It was horrible.
In the early days of the Cold War, the CIA ordered the creation of a secret program intended to find ways of mind control. They funded an army of psychiatric institutions across the United States and Canada to perform experiments on unsuspecting patients using psychedelic drugs, sensory deprivation, electroshock treatment, and more. The program was known by its codename, MKUltra. At the end of the Korean War, a number of freed American POWs came home seemingly brainwashed and espousing communist propaganda. American officials suspected that the soldiers had been subjected to what they thought were new communist mind control techniques. Alarmed by the situation, the newly formed CIA allocated $25 million for psychiatric experiments on human beings.
It was the most secret program ever conducted by the CIA in the United States. Patients at psychiatric hospitals, prisoners in federal institutions, and even people in the public were given drugs without their awareness or consent and experimented upon.
Initial projects within MKUltra included Operation Midnight Climax.
They established what were called safe houses, where prostitutes would lure men to these apartments. And then once the men were in the apartments, they were dosed with LSD. And then they were basically studied by CIA scientists, usually behind a two-way mirror.
Another common practice was the hosting and observing of LSD-induced parties with live music. These parties were called acid tests, and the culture that grew out of them played a key role in the development of the hippie and psychedelic movements a few years later. However, some of the most damaging experiments occurred at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Canada. There, under the direction of infamous Scottish-American psychiatrist Dr. Ewan Cameron, unsuspecting patients, many of whom had common ailments such as postpartum depression, were experimented on with aggressive drug cocktails and extreme techniques.
My father was a victim of Dr. Cameron. He was a 27-year-old healthy skier, canoeer, very athletic, and he had asthma. They told him if he went to the Allen Memorial, they could cure his asthma.
My father, Charles, was a patient of Dr. Cameron's. He had a trigeminal neuralgia, it's called, where there's a pain in the temple that radiates into the jaw that apparently is excruciatingly painful. They told him that it was psychosomatic, which it's not, but in those days, what did they know? So they sent him to a shrink. This shrink that he went to was working with Cameron, although we didn't know. So he put my father right into the program.
I was having trouble with my parents. My father and my stepmother decided to put me in the Allen Memorial Institute. They had no idea what went on in there. I was 16 when I was there.
Dr. Cameron pursued a concept he called depatterning, which was meant to reduce patients to an infantile psychological state wherein doctors could take advantage of the person's cognitive vulnerability to attempt to rebuild their mind under the doctor's control. A popular method of choice to achieve this was called psychic driving.
The day that my father was brought to the hospital, they immediately put him on insulin, to put him into like an insulin coma. They took clips from the interview with the shrink and put it on tape to run a loop under his pillow while he was put into this sleep treatment.
He also was put in an insulin coma for 36 days with a recording beside him saying that your mother hates you over and over and over and over and over.
That was beside my bed constantly, repeated 250,000 and 500,000 times.
Another common method was the use of extreme Page-Russell electroshock therapy.
Page-Russell shock treatment is approximately 40 to 75 times the strength of a normal shock treatment. So it's really designed to wipe out the memory.
He received 54 high voltage shock treatments, followed by 54 grand mal seizures.
After 27 days of this, they said that they were discouraged because he still had ties to his former life, in that he was asking to see his wife. They decided to give him more Page-Russell shock treatments and put him to sleep for another 30 days.
When patients were released from the Allen Memorial, they and their families' lives would never be the same again.
Well, there's a lot I could not remember after I got out of the Allen. It When my family came, I was a zombie. I didn't even know who they were.
He never came out the same. He had a blank look in his eye. He didn't know who we were. He didn't know we were his daughters. He lost his job. We went into poverty after he came out.
He had said in his interview with the shrink that I was the apple of his eye. And after he came home, he started beating me not long after.
In 1973, the MKUltra program was terminated, and some of the evidence of its activities was systematically erased.
The whole thing was basically discovered because of a whistleblower named John Marks, who wrote the first book really about the program called The Search for the Manchurian Candidate. There were congressional hearings here in the United States in the mid-70s after it had been exposed. And during those hearings, the CIA finally admitted that this program existed. They admitted that it was probably not the right thing to do, but they feigned innocence.
Despite the congressional hearings and marginal interest in the subject in popular culture, most MKUltra survivors suffered in silence, taking their trauma with them to the grave. Today, having received no formal apology or compensation, the children of some survivors are pursuing a class action lawsuit against the institutions they deem responsible.
The CIA knew that it was breaking, every moral, ethical, and legal law in the books to do these experiments.
They all were behind it. They all knew what they were doing, but they weren't doing it out of care or love. They were doing it out of military and political reasons.
I am on medication now because of what happened to me when I was 16. I have not had any compensation or apology. I want everyone to know in Canada what went on in that horrible, horrible hospital.
While historians and survivors have exposed MKUltra's exploits to the world, much remains unknown about its extent and wider impact. Given the highly sensitive nature of the program's activity, it is likely this will remain the case for years to come.
So that was from the BBC, and quite an in-depth documentary on the horrors of the CIA's MKUltra program. Don, did you know all that?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting that they were talking about, some of the shock treatments really get me sometimes. Like, all right, you dope them up with acid and have them screw some prostitutes, that's a whole thing. But like, the shock treatments are really, and it makes you just think and just out of the box. And was this a new phenomenon where people are that crazy that they think they were going to shock them? Or was this a product of like the Industrial Revolution and like the crazy amount of pollutants and in the environment? That's a whole other thought, just on the health of the environment. But the MKUltra thing, I mean, I think people need to read the book Chaos, which was written over 20 years, basically about the Charles Manson murders. How that he was all part of that whole study, and that whole thing over there. They were given MKUltra, and then the Parsons project, I always forget the first name. The Alan Parsons project, right? I mean, Alan Parsons, the JPL, right? And then the band, Grateful Dead, there was a whole thing going on with the Grateful Dead and promoting that music. And then, the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and all the occult stuff going on there, like during this time. And it's just, there's such a rabbit hole for that. Like, we're already 3.5, we could do 3 hours just on this.
Maybe we should pick one topic per sentence, and we can actually,
or we can just delegate certain topics for shows, but
holy
maybe
cow,
after a certain point we could just go after and chill and just
listen.
With it.
I'll tell you what. Do you know who else was in MKUltra program? Was a very straightforward program, and it's still parts of it that operate
that they
today.
Denied for like 60.
They had
years.
to, and it makes sense that they did it.
But but here's the thing: it's been declassified. Anybody who's claiming that it's not true or that's a myth, guess what? They declassified it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely true.
Yes, but listen.
If you're still out here saying that MKUltra and all this and that is a myth, fuck you.
Listen.
Ooh, now we're banned.
Plain enough.
I'll tell you right now. So MKUltra was very straightforward, and I think it was a continuation of Project Paperclip and the projects that the Nazis were working on. We're gonna do Don. We're gonna do Don right now. And
Love
Project
you,
Paperclip was 3,000, 4,000 different
Scotch.
Nazi soldiers. Shut up. Nazi soldiers and scientists that they brought over from Germany. and they really infiltrated a lot into the U.S. government. Part of it was NASA, other parts of it was the CIA,
Huge
and I think right. And during World War II, they were trying to make the super soldiers, and I think that's MK Ultra was a extension of that, because what they were trying to do is they were trying to use LSD and other substances to break down the person's brain, make them a shell, and be able to rewrite them.
The
That's
perfect
not
patsy.
completely true. Because there are many things that can do that. One of the main things, okay, so with LSD and DMT and stuff, is actually accentuating what you already have. So if anything, what they were trying to do with the LSD treatments was to bring out more potential in what they considered normies.
Right. Well,
More
well,
psychic potential. I mean, they were doing all the psychic, remote viewings
Exactly.
and stuff
Yes.
like that.
So they were
but the
literally
thing
trying
is-
to drag out more potential in normal people than trying to create it, because you
Yes.
can't really create
No,
it.
no, no,
They
no,
were
no,
trying
no,
to
no,
drag
no.
it.
You're missing it. There was two sides to this. The LSD
Okay.
portion was trying to get people's magical abilities, I guess you would call it, being able to see long distances and ESP and such. But it was the shock therapy and the torture. Those things were first done to you to break you down. They wanted to break you down, make you a shell, and rebuild you. You have to think, how does the military create a good
That's
soldier?
a portion, and that's what, especially like with the Marines in particular, do.
Right. They
Okay,
reset
so
you.
you want to go back to there's a thing. Okay, so Don, you both of you guys know a little bit about the occult. So
A little
the
bit.
Baphomet,
A lot
right?
of it.
So the most famous picture of the Baphomet is usually in a certain pose, one arm up, one arm down. And what is written on their arms? Salve et coagula, which in Latin means destroy to recreate, which is a big thing in what do you call that when you transfuse lead into
Alchemy.
gold? Alchemy.
Transmutation of metals.
Salve
Right.
et, yes, transmutation. Salve et coagula. So that whole thing with the Baphomet, it's always inscribed in its arms. Salve et coagula. Destroy to recreate.
Destroy your demons. You have to destroy your ego, destroy yourself to
Well,
create and see your true self.
I'll tell you who tried to destroy their demons. And this was also a victim of MK Ultra program, Ted Kaczynski,
Uncle Ted.
the Unabomber. He was highly involved in that, and
Mace.
a lot of, Charles Manson was in that as well.
Yeah, he wasn't as based.
I mean, the
Ted
program's
No.
evolved
Kaczynski-
so much. I mean, everybody's been. I mean, all these it's literally a meme now. Every time there's a school shooter with purple hair, you're like MK Ultra, MK
That's not
Ultra,
MK
MK
Ultra,
Ultra.
that
Right.
is-
No, I know, but it's similar because they're all these same psychiatrists. They're all with these SRDs. They're all being
They're
hypnotized in a way by these psychiatrists, and
Hmm.
something is going on.
It's the
They're
drugs.
also all
And again,
in contact with former federal agents,
Right, and-
And in Discord chats with
Naval
them.
intelligence,
Here's
this
one
and
of
that.
the
I mean,
main-
the thing is, with acid, they were
Mm.
trying to figure out what the heck it was. It wasn't even about the substance itself. It was about the whole entire new field of study. They're
Right.
like, what is this doing? And that's what really started. I mean, they were already interested in pharmacology, you know what I mean? Pharmacology and stuff, all that. But this just, what is this? What's this? What? And they used it. I mean,
Why
it
do
changed
they
an
all have the same
entire.
eyes? Why are they all on the
it
same medication? Why do they all have
changed
the same fucking family
an
situations?
entire
And why are they all
generation.
in the same chats with the same fucking people?
That's
That's
been
what I wanna
evolved. So
know.
that was the weaponization of that type of science, right? But I mean, it changed. They got scared because it changed an entire society. I mean, the '60s, like it was a literal. But then you can also ask yourself, was it a good cultural revolution, or was it a bad cultural revolution?
No, it was a
that we
bad
went-
cultural revolution. I'll tell you exactly why.
Right. So maybe this acid
it
is
was-
actually allowing demons
so
from another
it was-
dimension to influence your mind.
Well,
Outside of that,
Maybe
outside
it
of
is the
that,
devil's
no.
lettuce. Maybe it is the
Going on
devil's
to that,
lettuce.
Don, the
What
guy
they
who
wanted to
actually
do-
invented LSD, he literally said that it was an interdimensional portal to commune with the
Yes, he
higher.
did.
Yes.
That's
So let me
literally
You don't
he
know what
said.
you're doing. They can grip you and addict you.
They can.
Weak
Let me
weak
explain
people
something.
with high tools can be very dangerous. So good people, men like me, you, and Steve, right?
Hi.
We are very adept with certain tools, right?
Like to think we are.
But I know for a fact we are. I have no questions about that. But the fact is, if you give certain tools to people who are just, say whatever
You
you
can't
will.
give a nuclear bomb to the Romans.
Well, let me tell you this right now. So what it
I
is
disagree with that.
Damien.
We ran the world for a reason, bro.
Damien, bro. The problem is that people vibrate at different frequencies. That's how it works. Not everybody sees the world through the same lens.
Steve.
It is a component of it, but it's a big component of it.
It's not the be all and end all, but yes, that is an absolute component. So the vibration also, I believe, has to do a lot with, IQ and intelligence too, and your ability to function, and not just ability to function, but ability to, take what you have and move with it as everything changes.
Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla is quoted as saying, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. It's extremely important.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's literally it. I mean, that's it. That's you could go down the whole. If we could do 3 hours just on vibration and frequency, I mean, that's it right there. And that's, I mean, we realized that with the weather control weapons, with the hurricane. That's literally vibration and frequency. It's all energy, baby.
Energy,
radar,
vibration,
sound
and frequency.
Light are not as.
That's why words are important, and the words you say are important, and we shouldn't use curse words, because curse words are literally curse words. And when you say things like that, you're bringing that negativity into your surroundings. And even when we say, oh my God, take it out of your vernacular, it's oh my gosh, whatever. If you use the Lord's name, those are power. Believe whatever you want to believe about what the manifestation of God is. The words have power and have meaning.
I think what we're going to do is, if you guys come back and join us next week, Sunday, 6 p.m. ish, sometimes we don't quite make it there. Traffic, 8, all night,
screaming
4
kids.
hours, 3 hours. We'll be there. So if you come join us, I think next week what we're going to do is we're going to look a little bit into suppressed technology. We're going to look at Tesla technology. We're going to look at what inventions of his may have impacted the world of ours. The biggest one, alternating current. Look around you, it's everywhere. Right. And I think what we're going to do too is we're going to look at some of these UFOs that have been recovered. We're going to see where.
Maybe the Ark of the Covenant.
Yes, we can look at all of these rare artifacts.
What do you call that?
Technology.
So I think our entire
and hopefully
episode,
we're not talking about a hurricane next week, and about how it's affecting elections.
I hate to say it, but we are. But they're not calling it a hurricane. They're calling it tropical storm. And what's
it's
the name
a laser
of the tropical
cane.
Storm? A laser cane.
So guys,
Savage. Milton. Laser cane Milton. You heard it first.
Milton.
We're calling it out. FU, FBI, and whatever 3-letter agencies. We know you're doing this. And we know you're only hitting districts that are heavily red
Well,
areas.
the question is, okay, just real quick on the weather control devices. I mean, if you think about Spectre and like James Bond and stuff, it's these multinational kind of secretive organizations. They're all subcontractors. So who's to say that this weather tech isn't a secretive subcontractor that's in the, one of these defense contractors that has an installation in an island and a little secret satellite station, and the U.S. government's just subcontracting, and then these people are the ones who like activate the lasers on the hurricane.
But that's
it's not
exactly.
You don't think it's not
Don,
Jill Biden phoning it up?
Don, that's exactly.
Oh, is that you on the nose?
That's exactly how it works.
I just wanted to make sure people knew that's how it works. It's not Jill Biden. They're just allowing the money to move. It's the people that have no. You don't know their names.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna.
That's by design.
And you won't. I'm gonna go ahead and end this episode on this note. Whenever alien technology is recovered, it doesn't go into government hands. It goes into contractors. It goes into contractors. Let me finish my sentence, and you can gladly add something in. It goes into contractors. It ends up at Raytheon. It ends up Skunkworks. It ends up at all these third parties. And the reason for that is, one, there's no accountability. Two, there's no accountability to the American people. That is a private corporation. Government hires them to figure out how this thing works, re-engineer it, get a nice little tool out of it maybe in the end. and we'll never find out because it's in private hands.
We're
Damien?
getting
Okay, so I'll just jump on this real quick, and then swing it back to you, Don. Raytheon, yeah, I got some experience with them. I got a relationship with them, if you will. So Steve and Don, you might know this. Tyler too, probably. My main background, despite my ravishing looks here, I'm a lot smarter than I look, and I mostly deal with firearms and aerospace. Okay.
You don't look stupid. Stop
So-
saying that.
I'm literally just playing up to the trope because I have a beard and
He's
face
just
tat-
ugly. He's not stupid. Come on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don. But the thing is,
Aren't we all?
I'm surprised
That-
people watch us for this long.
Dude,
Margaret
listen, I
did
can
not like the
literally-
looks of us, but she stayed along for most of the ride.
That's because I wasn't here. Margaret would love me. I told her,
That's
like,
true.
stay
That's
tuned.
true.
We're gonna
Oh,
have a
man, you
struggle,
would've-
so-
Anyway,
No, Margaret would absolutely jump my bones. Like, no bullshit. But that aside, the reason why I laughed when you said Raytheon is because I do have experience with Raytheon. I might even have contracts with Raytheon. So I wasn't just trying to boast when I spoke about, firearms and aerospace technology. I literally work hand in hand with them.
don't break your NDAs.
I actually don't have one with them because I'm not a member of Raytheon.
Oh, we lost him. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
What was that? Okay.
It was a Ukrainian drone.
I don't believe that, but so there is a Raytheon facility not too far from me, and I have actually gotten job offers because, like I said, I'm a man who actually knows what he does with his hands and
Okay.
machines, right?
That's what she said. Anyway, all right.
Yes,
I want
it
to say one
is.
last thing. And when we get to the UFOs at some point, because it is about the disclosure and the corporations, and yeah,
Bring it
that's
home.
it is. Some of these corporations were given a lot of technology, and they went multi-billion, and then other corporations did not get that, and they could frickin' sue because the government's supposed to give you fair use of things, and that's a big problem, right? But I want to say maybe they needed to do that. It was kind of like blowing up the ozone, and now we need to seed things. Maybe they did screw it up real bad, and they needed these contractors to do this, and they didn't realize that the contractors are going to use it to make $1 billion, and now the government's going to get sued. So maybe just wait till everyone dies, then you can disclose it.
Any final thoughts? Anyone? No?
I just want to say, like I said, I love the United States. I love everybody here. And as I said before, get some basic preparations. You don't need a bunker with 50 million cans of beans. Get some water, get some food storage, simple things like that. Try and make sure that you're okay if the grid shuts down. That's the main thing that I want to say to everybody, including liberals, including if you're voting for Kamala, which, I mean,
Yeah,
there's
you're-
only like
you're
20 of you
American?
in the country, but regardless.
We love you, Margaret.
We love you, Margaret.
Well, Margaret's a bot. She's not real. Regardless, though, I do. wanna
Margaret is our
say-
mascot. What are you talking about?
I will make that. Don't tempt me, Steve. But regardless, like I said, my final thoughts is things are bad, but you know what? This is the United States of America. We are the most persistent nation in the world. We will persevere literally over everything. We get an alien invasion. Who's going to lead the world? Literally us. We'll listen. Who did they say when the world turns to shit and they said, what are we going to do? And, speaking to God, and what do we say? Send me. Okay? I'm here. So that's one thing I want to leave off on is everything is going to be okay.
Yeah. And remember,
Everything
kids, we can have porn on our phone. So whatever.
Is that how you're finishing this up? All
That's
well,
it.
we're good. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna finish it up with a speech from Joe Biden. This is from 8 years ago.
Speaking of porn,
No, this is the most badass thing I've ever heard him say. Oh my God. Listen, I wish this was like Joe Biden all the time because this is badass.
Not only do we have the largest economy in the world, we have the strongest economy in the world. We have the most productive workers in the world. And given a fair shot, given a fair chance, Americans have never, ever, ever, ever let their country down. Never. Never. Ordinary people like us who do extraordinary things. We've had candidates before who attempted to get elected by appealing to our fears, but they've never succeeded because we do not scare easily. We never bow. We never bend. We never break when confronted with crisis. No, we endure. We overcome, and we always, always, always move forward. That's why I can say with absolute conviction, I am more optimistic about our chances today than when I was elected as a 29-year-old kid to the Senate. The 21st century is going to be the American century. Because
when was this?
Because we lead not only by the example of our power, but
all right. So this is
when was this? This was this his accept? No, VP. Was this during Obama like acceptance speech?
70
this
years
2008?
ago.
This is 8 years ago, dude. Like, but listen.
Bro,
This
this
is where
like no,
Oh,
this is like 70 something years ago.
dude.
No,
this
this
dude
was
sounds-
during like this was 2008.
No, whatever it is.
Come on.
Wait, go down.
I wish we had this, dude. It's 2000. It's 8 years ago. I just told
Like
you.
I said, it's bro, it's like 19.
Wait, no. Read it. Read it. What the description says.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah,
I wanted to hear this.
2016. Okay, yeah, 2016. all right.
National Convention.
by the power of our
Look at how young he
example.
looked.
That
300
is the
years ago.
history of the journey of America.
Wow, he
And
was like
God
with it.
God willing, Hillary Clinton will write the next chapter in that
You think-
journey.
you
We
think
are
they hit him?
America, second to none, and we own the finish line.
You
Don't
think they
forget
hit
it.
him with some kind of
God bless
Alzheimer's
you
later?
all, and may God protect our troops. Come on. We're America.
A Trinity Crown for the win.
You think
Where-
you think they gave him some sort
where-
of like Alzheimer's drug and like, made
Listen,
him?
where the hell did that Joe Biden
I
go?
don't need to think it. I don't need to
Dude,
think it.
I'll tell you right now, if that dude ran as a Republican, people would believe it now.
Yeah.
Guess what?
We are America.
Everything
We
he
own the
fucking said
finish
20
line.
years ago is literally
lie.
coordinating now. Everything. Bill Clinton, right?
No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it.
We're not doing it. We're
We're
done.
not doing it.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Oh wait, we're still here. Why are we still here? Oh well, I guess we're gonna. I guess the studio didn't shut us down. We'll keep going. I guess. Yeah, I'm here. I hear you. Yeah,
What's
we're
that?
still here.
Is my wife wants to do something fun with me. Oh.
Oh, no, I think the studio
Hey,
didn't shut
listen,
us
Don,
down.
go do what you gotta do. Listen, Steve, if you're still up and you want to fucking run a fucking stream just talking shit,
Yeah, just keep getting us banned, bro. That's 2 F-bombs in 2
Listen.
seconds.
What are you talking
No,
about?
we're this far in. It's not gonna
What do you
bother.
mean 2 F-bombs? You realize fuck is not like banned by YouTube.
It
Yes,
is
it
after.
is.
No, it's
not.
later on in the show.
I fucking even told you. After the first 10 minutes.
So this is like Comedy Central late night when we were like 16.
I promoted this before, like in after I was.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not getting sucked down your rabbit hole.
We're live still, Damien. We're just in after hours here.
Oh, I apparently have to. Oh, this is a new live stream.
No,
Wait,
hold
I'm
on.
so confused.
No, this just continues.
Okay,
We're just,
all right.
The studio hasn't shut us down. We're
We'll
still
see.
sitting in
Hold
our
on.
chairs.
That
I suggested-
never
I said-
ends. It goes on
Shut the
and
fuck up for a
on,
minute.
my
I suggested, okay, we have the live
I'll be
stream,
right back.
and there's a time
Just
constraint.
continued
I get
singing
that.
it. Oh, just because
Done.
it's a stream that
All right.
never ends. It goes on and on, my friend.
It says still live though.
No. I think this is the perfect time for you to monologue while Steve pees, and I may or may not be.
Well, I do want a monologue, but the thing is, I thought this was going to be an after thing. So I'm looking in the corner of this app.
Oh, yeah,
here, and
it's
it
after
says
me.
Live 3:38. So I have no problem. Keep going, right? On the current stream. What I had actually wanted is to.
I know
create
what
a
you
separate
wanted.
one.
This is fine. It is a separate stream. Trust me, we played the intro. Now
So
we're separate.
I will moderate my language then.
Ha,
I didn't
fine.
want to, but
Bye.
Dude, what?
I'm back. Sorry about that. Hey, Don. Welcome back. What'd I miss? Oh, why is he leaving? Damien.
Yeah. Where's Don? Like, what was that?
What was what? I don't know what happened. I went to pee.
I don't have his phone number. Send me his phone number.
Yeah, I'll send
It
it to
says
you.
we're still live, Steve. Cut it.
We are still live. We're gonna cut it.
Cut it or start a new one. I think that would be better, to be honest.
Oh, I'm pretty much done for the night, man. This was a nice little after hours, but I'll give you a call. Have a good night.